My stomach feels fatter than a fat fuck on a fat fuck. What should we watch? Let's watch a Brugly video. My stomach's fat as hell right now. Bloated as, boy. Oof. Should I drink a milkshake? I'm fucked now. Great. I'm fucked. Let's see. Sure.
It's time to clean your water bottle. I've partnered with Arm & Hammer to discover the ways you can use baking soda. It's a simple, easy, natural way to clean, and it's a simple swap you can incorporate into your routine. 1 tablespoon of baking soda is all you need to perfectly clean your water bottle, so you can get back to all your water talk adventures. Make the swap to Arm & Hammer baking soda and give it a try.
Backrooms is made up of liminal spaces.
See what the first one is.
These nostalgic part 2 rules and guidelines that are the voice. It's not uncommon if you're deep in.
Okay. What the fuck is going on with this? Oh, should I turn my light? Yeah. What is up with these chords, man? Too many. Let's see this pop. Jeez, bro. Fat Lauren. Didn't eat today. And then I did. And when I didn't, I did. Goddamn. Why is my mic 7 billion miles all the way over here? We're ready.
Good pain. Like, these are rules that you actually have to think of. So that leads us to rule number 1 that says, when you're inside of a backrooms level and you hear your name being called, do not follow the voice. It's not uncommon if you're deep inside the labyrinths of the backrooms that you might hear auditory hallucinations. Whether you're on level 0 or level 500, you might be slipping with your sanity and you might start hearing things. So if you hear your name being called off in the distance and you think it's somebody you know calling your name, do not approach the noise at all. Do not follow the noise, any of that, because the likelihood is it's an auditory hallucination or an entity that's trying to mimic human behavior and eat you. So unless you want to be eaten by an entity, don't follow the voice. Number 2, never attempt to escape the backrooms. Now at first this might seem kind of weird to you. You might be thinking to yourself, isn't the entire goal of being stuck in the backrooms to try to escape? No, you can't. There's no escape. Because looking for an escape, trying to find an exit, or going to levels that people say there's exits on, these often lead to your death sentence. It's often the end of the line. Most of these so-called exits to the backrooms are false. They're fake. They're not real. They're pranks, bro. And the likelihood is you'll probably just get led deeper and deeper into the complex and lose your mind. Just a general rule of thumb in the backrooms is when you try to do something, usually the opposite's gonna happen. So if you try to escape, you're probably just gonna get stuck even further in. Number 3, do not touch any wall that's darker than the walls around it. So when you're in a level of the backrooms after a certain amount of time, you will undoubtedly come into contact with a wall or a floor or a ceiling or something that's darker and out of place than the objects around it. It just looks like it's not supposed to be there. Usually these darker surfaces, these glitchy areas, mean that that object is unstable. It's not stable at a molecular level. And if you touch that out of place, darker or glitchy wall, you will likely no-clip through the wall. And if you know anything about no-clipping, you can't really tell where you're going to go. Sometimes clipping sends you to specific levels, other times it sends you to the void, and other times it sends you to levels that no one's even heard of. So it's really hard to say, and it's just really good guidance to never touch dark or out of place walls at all to avoid this. Number 4, never trust or look at people that you find in the backrooms. Now if you somehow get lucky or unlucky enough to run into somebody that you think is another person on your journey through the backrooms, first of all, try to make sure they're a human and never fully trust them, ever. Many entities attempt to mimic human behavior, and many humans are evil or insane because they've been here for so long. So you should never trust another person at all. If you want to make sure the thing you run into that you believe is a human is indeed a person, you need to ask them questions about real life, like specific things. Ask them who the last president of the US was. Ask them to name all 7 countries in the world. Ask them only questions that people from reality would know. Now, to be fair, if the person's just dumb, they might not know the questions, but you can try, you know what I'm saying? It's better to be safe than to be dead. So those are the more common rules that you might already know of. Those are probably pretty simple to most of you, but now we're gonna get into some more obscure rules that might make your journey way better, or could make it way worse if you don't follow them. So let's get into those now. Always check the time in the back rooms and always count in your head the seconds that go by. This is so important because when you're inside of the confines of the back rooms, time is dead and meaning has no meaning. If you get that reference, leave a like. So in order for you to keep a sliver of your sanity, of normalcy, you need to be able to keep time. That way you can follow a sleeping pattern, an eating pattern, and kind of keep your routine, even though you're in this timeless area. The way to do that is either by having a watch on your wrist, or a phone that's charged or something, or you can count the seconds that go by in your head. Counting the seconds can make you not go crazy because it'll keep your mind focused on something, and it's a good way to just keep up of how long you're traveling and how long you're doing things. Because if you don't do that, if you don't keep up with the time, you could just wander for days and days and forget to eat, forget to drink. It could be a whole bad thing, you know? Rule number 6, every single day that you wake up in the back rooms, recite your name, your family's name, your hobbies, and other things about your personal life. This one might seem pretty weird to you off the bat, like why would you need to be reciting and repeating these things out loud, but it's for a very important reason. In the back rooms, you could go days or weeks without seeing anybody at all, any light, or any signs of normalcy. And those conditions will make the human brain go pretty crazy pretty fast. And if you forget who you are, then you won't even have any touch and any control over your own body. So in order to remember who you are and remember what you're about, remember what you like, remember your family, when you wake up in the morning, repeat your name out loud, repeat your family members' names, repeat what they like to do, repeat what you like to do. That way you kind of keep this contained box of your own self. That way it's harder for your sanity to go bye-bye. You know, the first part of going insane is forgetting your name and forgetting your memories. So try to avoid that by doing what I just said. Rule number 7, never sniff the flowers in the fields. So this rule is for levels that take place outside, and it's just a good thing to stick by. If these outdoor levels have blooming flowers that look so, you know, pretty and they smell good, never ever get close to them and sniff the petals or the center of them. You'll probably be tempted to smell the flowers because they have like a alluring property. They're kind of addictive to look at. This is all because some flowers on these levels emit these hallucinogens that make you see things, that make you kind of loopy, that make you forget about time. And the more you smell that toxin, the more it emits in your nose, the least sane you'll be. And if you keep on smelling them over and over, you'll just collapse and fall over and be consumed by the level, which that does not sound fun at all. So don't do that. Many of these levels with flowers have this aroma throughout the entire thing that just gives you this feeling of exuberance and effervescence, and you just have to avoid smelling that. Try to get out as fast as possible, no matter how good it seems. Rule number 8, blood runs red, they're not dead. Blood runs clear, don't get near. One entity that you might come across in your journey through the backrooms is known as the Skin Stealer. This is a very dangerous creature, and it's really hard to tell what a Skin Stealer is from a human. They look very similar, especially from far distances, because these entities drape human flesh all over their own body, and from a distance away and even up close, it just seems like you're looking at a person because they have real skin.
Love games but hate the grind? With Wiimod, you can be invincible, unimaginably wealthy, or even teleport. Wiimod is the #1 app for PC game modding, and it's completely free. Now you can modify your games easily and safely to have the perfect experience for you. Whether you want to bypass tough levels, skip grinding, or enhance your gameplay, Wiimod can help. And millions of gamers are already on board. Unleash boundless possibilities for thousands of popular games. Transform your game instantly using the Wiimod overlay or mobile app. And don't worry, Wiimod is incredibly simple to use.
Fuck.
The app auto-detects your
That's a-
installed games,
That's it.
streamlines one-click modding,
Maybe
and is
not.
always up to date with the latest game releases. Take
Oh.
control of your gaming.
Only
Download
customer
Wiimod
play.
for free right now and start
Yeah,
playing
buddy.
your way.
Fuck. Oh, too bad that didn't bro. Fuck. I don't know what I thought I was gonna do.
Design team, come and get your award.
I was diagnosed with thyroid eye disease.
Oh no. Oh no. It's fucked up my duck. I'm gonna fuck myself like 3 times. Oh, that's dirty. I'm gonna just kill myself. Bye, guys.
Skin on them. Of course, they are not humans, and they will do anything to kill and flay you and put your body on theirs. So to avoid that, there's only one way. See, humans' blood is red. So if you prick your finger and you drop some blood on it, you will see red. If you meet somebody who you think is maybe not a human and might be a skin stealer, ask them to prick their finger to prove that they have red blood. You see, because skin stealers have clear blood, and it's all completely clear. You can't see any red at all. If the person refuses to prick their finger, or if they do so and it's clear, do not get closer to that person. Run away as fast as you can. They're gonna betray you, and they're gonna wear your skin like a trophy.
suck
So
my
don't
meat.
do that. The blood runs red, then
meat
you're not dead. If the
sucker.
blood runs clear, do not get near. Rule number 9.
Meat
Do not
sucker.
sleep on the floor on odd numbered levels. This is a phenomenon that occurs in the back rooms that relates to an entity known as Pinhead. If you're on an odd numbered level, like 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on, and you go to sleep directly on the floor of that level with nothing in between you and the floor, an entity known as Pinhead can infiltrate your subconscious and your dreams while you sleep. If Pinhead enters your consciousness, he can trap your soul inside of your dream, and it'll cause you to not be able to move or go back to being awake. Essentially, he kind of knocks you out from the inside, and your body will just be laying there on the floor, withering away and decaying and becoming weak. And after a few days, when you couldn't physically defend yourself, Pinhead will get out of your mind, pop out into reality, and consume your flesh right there. This is only known to happen on odd numbered levels, and there is a way to avoid it. First of all, just don't sleep at all on odd numbered levels if you can help it, but if you do, make sure you sleep on a table, or at least put a sleeping bag or something between you and the floor. That way Pinhead cannot infiltrate your dreams and consume you. Rule number 10. If you see a man with no face, just keep walking. Throughout the history of the backrooms, there have been a ton of reports of a tall, skinny, humanoid male figure with no face. It's unknown what the entity is, what species it is, why it's there, but it just looks like a tall, shadowy person. Never ever look up at this man's face though, because it's said that the horrors that you see from doing so are unimaginable, and you can't get them out of your mind. It's still unknown what people actually see when they look into the man's face, but if they say it's that bad, I'm gonna trust them. Whatever it is tends to put people into this catatonic state for a temporary amount of time. Rule number 11. If you see a cloud that's not moving in the sky, get indoors and keep your head down.
That's fine.
Now, the sky parts of Backrooms levels are often very creepy and enigmatic. Many of them aren't even real. They don't have actual clouds or a sun or anything. They kind of look like 2D printed bad video game graphics. And if you find yourself on an outdoor level where the clouds are not moving, or there are clouds that are moving and one cloud is not, you need to get inside and hide from it, because that is the level watching you. You're being stalked through that cloud. Looking up at the clouds for a long period of time will give you this kind of hallucinatory state, and you'll be like loopy and unable to respond to stimuli, and eventually you'll kind of just lose control of your body. And the cloud that's stopped in the sky watching you is the level's version of kind of following you around and keeping tabs on you. So if you see cloud like that, get out of that level as soon as possible. Rule number 12. If someone or something offers you tea, do not drink it. On random, deeper levels in the complex of the backrooms, the people you meet, the spaces you go, the things you think, all become blurred together, and it makes less and less sense the longer you're inside of it. And the line between reality and fiction becomes blurrier and blurrier. So if you end up deep inside a level and you find yourself in a situation where you're being offered tea to drink, never ever take it. Never drink it, never pour it, never look at it, politely decline, and get out of that level as fast as possible. This tea will heighten your paranoia, it'll make you jittery, it'll cause you to hallucinate things, and it'll essentially crumble your mind from the inside. Or so people say. Do not drink the tea. Rule number 13. If you're inside of a house that has windows, never approach or look outside of the windows. So most of the time in the back rooms, if you're in a level where there's a house or a building that has windows in the side and you look outside, there will be nothing. Sometimes it's blank black, or sometimes it's a fake window, and sometimes there's just nothing there. But rarely, some houses and some buildings do have windows that look outside to these expanses of grass, these hills, or something like that. These landscapes often are intriguing, and you want to go look at them, you want to open the window up, you want to go explore them. But never under any circumstance should you do that. By simply approaching the window, you might get accidentally no-clipped through that window to the outside area beyond it, and you could be stuck in that area. Think of it like the background of an I Spy book, where there's just nothing back there except the expanse. You can't get back, and you don't know how you even got there. The window also could be a window entity trying to lure you closer to it and then consume you. But possibly more terrifyingly is when the backrooms displays something you recognize outside of a window. It could be your childhood house, it could be your childhood school, it could be something from your regular normal life. The backrooms is known to play with people's psychology, and it does that sometimes. No matter how intriguing whatever is behind the window is, do not approach the window. If you see a window with something outside of it, look the opposite way and walk fastly past it. Rule number 14. If you get to the end, do not type your name into the computer. So the end library of the backrooms is a very mystical and almost mythical place in the lore now. It's kind of a level that people adventure to get to when they're stuck, almost as like a last hurrah, a sort of rite of passage. It's known for how creepy it is, how unsettling it is, and just how weird it looks. Its most famous feature is its CRT computer that is there at the checkout desk. You can interact with this computer, you can type into its chat box, and you can do a list of things that might have different outcomes. You might get sent to a different level, you might delete things, you might spawn in things. But whatever you do, never type your actual name in at all. If you type your first, middle, and last name into this computer and press enter on the keyboard, your entire life will flash before you on the screen. The images that will show will be from every single event and moment in your life from birth until now. This will include images of your friends and family before and after your disappearance into the backrooms. It'll show pictures of them mourning you and looking for you and trying to find out where you went, where you got to, and why you left them. This experience is said to traumatize everybody that goes through it. I mean, it flashes your entire life right before your eyes after you've spent what feels like decades inside the backrooms. You'll see your friends and the family that you love on pictures, but you won't be able to interact with them, you won't be able to be with them. All you can see is just grainy images flashing before your eyes. And the worst part, of course, is the pictures after you went missing in the backrooms of them looking for you and being sad for you. Never type your name in the end computer. Finally, for this video, rule number 15. Never skip a stair on the end staircase. If you forgot what the end level is, it's the most popular video on this channel, and the level number is, stay with me now, level 922-3372-036 854-775807. So if you find yourself on this staircase that goes up and down infinitely, spiral staircase, never skip over a stair. Go in order and make sure you hit every single one of them. If you do skip a stair, you will not be able to get up to the top and escape. You will instead get sent back to level 0 to start over again and have to redo the entire backrooms. It's as if the level considers it cheating to skip over just one stair, and as punishment you'll get sent back to the very beginning to make your way all the way here to the 9 quintillionth level. But then again, we don't even know if the actual exit is at the top of the stairs like people say. We have no idea. But if you make it all the way there, you might as well try and give it your best shot to not skip a stair. Also, never jump off the staircase at all. Both have the same fate. You'll get sent back to the beginning. Those are 15 rules that you need to follow in the backrooms. You might not have heard of any of these rules. You might have heard of some of them. I'd really love to do more of this kind of stuff. I really hope you enjoyed as well. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for all you do. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. I thought it was a really cool concept of a video to make, and if you do want more, I would be glad to do so. Just leave a like and let me know in the comments if you do want more. I'm trying a bunch of new things on the channel, just trying a bunch of new rebranding, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for all you do. Love and appreciate you all. Peace and love. Bye-bye.
Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare coverage options so you don't end up overpaying.
Good, because we spent a lot on this kitchen.
Oh, yeah, really high-end stuff.
Sorry, that's our ghost. It's more annoying than anything.
Oh, the decal that says kitchen. Good, I forgot where I was for a second.
From hoagies to mac and cheese and everything in between. Wawa's dinner for everyone, starting at 4 p.m.
Huh? Alright.
Hello everyone, my name is Brugly, and welcome back to the Brugly channel. This video is very, very highly requested because it is the third installment of the top 10 most terrifying Backrooms levels, which is the series where I compile easily the most terrifying, scary, gut-wrenching levels I can possibly find into one big long video for you all. Everyone loved parts 1 and 2, and you've been asking for the third part. We'll wait no longer because here it is. Hopefully you enjoy it. Thank you for watching, and let's get into it, shall we? Level Run For Your Life is classified as Class 5, so it's unsafe and unsecure, and it is infested with entities. And I mean infested. The physical layout of the level is a huge part in why it's so creepy, but it's not the only reason, trust me. This level looks like a hospital hallway without any normal lights on. Instead, there are these flashing red lights and a constant alarm sound that's blasting throughout the whole level. That would drive me insane, but I think that would be the least of my worries. There are a ton of doors on this level, one every 3 meters to be exact, and every 10 meters there are these huge big glowing exit signs that are flashing. The entire length of the hallway is around 20 kilometers or 12.5 miles long. Not too bad, right? Wrong. The second you spawn in this level, you'll see a horde of hostile entities right behind you, running at you full speed, and everyone spawns exactly halfway in the middle of this level. So the level's 12 miles long, you'll spawn 6 miles in, and in order to live, you have to outrun that army of creatures for 6 miles to the end of the level. You'll have to run at full speed without stopping, all while avoiding things in your way, like hospital beds and chairs, and sometimes even clumps are just there, so that's nice. The good news is, I guess, that every so often there are energy bars scattered on the tables in the hallways, and you can eat these in order to maintain stamina, but you have to eat them on the run since, well, you're being chased by a horde of hounds, facelings, and skin stealers. So if you do run the 6 miles to the end, you'll see a door labeled exit at the very end of the hallway. Once you go through that door, you'll be sent to a different level, specifically a more peaceful one, and the Backrooms will never ever send you back to this level again. So I guess that's kind of nice. If the entities do catch you, you'll meet a terrible slow demise, a fate far worse than actually dying, according to the wiki. Nice. There is actually a colony here called the Creature Befrienders, and they've got 23 members, and their leader is named Derek, and they joined this army of creatures and befriended them. And supposedly they're nice with wanderers, and they give them food and supplies, except it's most definitely a trap. Could they have made it any more obvious? So it sounds like the best thing is to just not approach them at all. Entering this level can happen randomly to random people, which would actually be terrifying to just randomly end up here. But there are other entrances as well in case you want to voluntarily come here. You can no-clip under a table with an exclamation mark on it on level 521, and that'll put you here. And if you touch a Christmas decoration on level 655, you'll be sent here. To exit, well, I've already described it. You gotta run 6 miles or 10 kilometers to the exit door, but there are some other exits as well, even though these are hypothetical and only work sometimes. I repeat, they only work sometimes. You can sometimes no-clip through a random door, and that'll put you on level 832, or you can no-clip through an exit sign. But these exits don't always work, and they're very dangerous, so just run the 6 miles and get it over with. Next for today's video is level -8. This level is classified as class undetermined and is another abandoned mineshaft level, and is pretty similar to level -6 in how it's laid out, except this one is dark at the start and gets darker as you go. Level -6 was light at the start and got darker as you went, so it wasn't dark the whole time. On this level, every 100 meters you go into the mine, there are splits in the path that go into 3 to 6 different directions. And each of these directions has a number assigned to it from 0 to 9. The number is randomized, so there's no real order, but I'll explain the significance of those numbers in a second. The pathway in the mines is always wet, and there are random puddles too. Some of the puddles are actually really deep and can be up to 50 meters deep, which is 164 feet for us Americans. There are pipes that run along the bottom corners of the mine shaft, and some of them are actually broken, which causes them to leak the water that runs through them and flood the level even more. However, sometimes those pipes will randomly rumble, and if this happens, it means that there's a huge flood coming. Now, these floods will take up almost the entire diameter and fill the entire mine shaft like a huge rush of running water. So if you see the pipes rumbling, run the other way, or you're not going to make it. And you'll only see these pipes if you're on the right track to find something that you can use, like a room or a hidden item, or even the exit, so that's handy. Those numbers from 0 to 9 that each path is labeled are actually really important, and there's been a key made from those numbers for the safest route to get through the level. The key is 939254780416205538. So those are the paths that you have to take to get out safely. Like I said, those numbers are randomized, but the number themselves are on wooden signs by the paths. Look for that number sequence on each path. So the first path you'll take will be 9, then 3, then 9, and so on and so forth. There are other paths with keys as well, which could be more dangerous or lead to a different entity, so don't get confused. You have to follow that exact code. The items that are on this level range from crowbars to memory jars, so there's a pretty good chance that you'll run across something good, although I'm not sure how useful a crowbar is. There was also an entity sighting here where 4 explorers claimed that they saw 2 huge red eyes staring at them from deep down a pathway, and that the figure has a shadowy body with really long arms and it can run at extremely high speeds around the level. It's also said that this entity wants explorers to suffer pain and not completely unalive. Nice. There are also other entities like Smilers, Death Moths, Hounds, and Facelings. You know, the typical ones. But they're not that common, but look out for them. You can enter level -8 by going deep into those woods of level -7 and finding a mine shaft. And you can exit the level by following that path key that I said earlier to get to level -9, which apparently doesn't exist yet. Or you can jump into a puddle to be sent to positive level 7. Whichever you prefer. So yeah, another mine shaft level. This one's creepier than level -6 though, I gotta say. Level 666 is classified as class undetermined because of mysterious properties, unknown information, and you'll see why later. The level was discovered in 2016 by a lone wanderer who took a picture of a weird sign in the back rooms and then they went missing. This level is described by its entrance sign, which simply reads, "Welcome to hell." Don't demonetize me, YouTube, this is just how it is. No matter who enters it, the whole experience is terrible for them. And most people don't even make it out. This level is really weird in that everyone sees a different version of it. These versions are called manifestations, so my manifestation of the level would be different than yours. Since the level is different for everyone, you can't describe it like normal. It's also impossible for 2 people to exist inside of the same manifestation, and people can't cross into each other's manifestations at all. Nice. The only thing that everyone's manifestation has in common is a sign in some way that says "Welcome to hell." And this sign says that same phrase in every language, and if the wanderer is blind, then the sign will be read out loud by an unknown voice. Now those words are often written on neon signs, graffiti, or...
What's next with Florida Blue? Let's create health solutions that solve problems before they're problems. Like at Florida Blue Centers with nurses standing by, discounts on fitness gear, plus access to 24/7 virtual care. Let's find your health solutions. Florida Blue.
When the sawdust settles and the engine finally roars, the thing you care about most is a job well done. But when you get your tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe no matter what you're working on, you need high-quality tools at a great price. And that's what we're all about. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Or on welcome mats. whichever one fits the person's manifestation. Every manifestation shows your biggest fear, your vulnerabilities, your insecurities, and they constantly berate you with insults and scary stuff like that. So it's pretty much psychological torment, like your own personal purgatory, I guess you could say. Now I'm going to get into the manifestation classifications. These classifications exist because all of the manifestations are so different, and this is kind of like a rough guide to classifying them. The categories are destruction, entities, audio, lighting, and sanity, or DEALS, D-E-A-L-S, if you make it into an acronym. First up is destruction, which describes the physical and environmental dangers of a person's manifestation. Now, inside of this classification, there are subcategories that go from D0 through D3. As the numbers go up, the threat level of the environmental destruction goes up as well. So D0 is no environmental destruction, and D3 is destruction. Next up is the entities portion, and this classification describes how many entities there are in a manifestation and how frequently they appear. These subclassifications start at E0 and go to E4, E0 being no entities and E4 being entity infestation. Pretty self-explanatory. Now the rest of the classifications, audio, lighting, and sanity, operate the exact same way as the two I just talked about, and each of the classifications go from 0 to 4, 0 obviously being the lowest and 4 being obviously the most dangerous. This classification system can help people describe their encounters with level 666 so that there can at least be some kind of record keeping and not just a bunch of random mumble jumble. Speaking of manifestations, now I'm going to read you 3 that are listed on the website so you can kind of get a sense of how they're reported. Manifestation 1. Background. The Wanderer in this manifestation was deathly afraid of spiders and the dark. DEALS rating: D1, E4, A1, L0, S0. Entry point: Level 8. The Wanderer reportedly touched a spider before suddenly being transported into level 666. Signage: a large spider web with the words "Welcome to Hell" weaved onto it was sighted upon entry. Description: this manifestation is near identical to level 8, with the key difference being that the spiders lived in a highly eusocial structure. Cashew water dripped from the stalactites instead of almond water. The Wanderer fell through the floor and ended up at level 9, before eventually making it to level 11, and living to tell the tale. Manifestation 2. Background. The Wanderer in this manifestation had a close family member die in a car accident before entering the backrooms, and this left an impression on them, obviously. DEALS rating: D2, E1, A3, L2, S1. Entry point: Level 80. The Wanderer entered via the universal entry point to the level. Signage: the signage that was characteristic of the universal entry point was present. Description: the manifestation consisted of a rough, bumpy road, but somewhat different to the road the Wanderer had just traveled. The sky was red instead of its usual blue, and the Wanderer was at the driver's seat and was talking to a Meg official who was outside of the level through the radio. The family member who died in the car accident also boarded the car in the back seat, presumed to be an entity. The car could not be stopped no matter what was done to slow it down. Outcome: after approximately 5 minutes of driving, the piece of land where the Wanderer was driving on completely disappeared. The car fell for approximately 300 feet before colliding with the ground, unaliving the Wanderer on impact. Okay. Manifestation 3. Background. The Wanderer in this manifestation was deeply religious and had fears of what would happen to them in the afterlife. They also prioritized freedom and was afraid of what would happen if that was taken away. DEALS rating: D1, E1, A1, L3, S3. Entry point. The entry point used to enter this manifestation is unknown. Signage: Welcome to Hell was prominently featured on what seemed to be the gates of heaven as a part of the gates themselves. Description: this manifestation resembled a stereotypical form of heaven, with clouds as the terrain and a bright light all around. Only 2 real living things existed, being the Wanderer and an unknown entity. All other humanoid figures in the seemingly crowded area were hallucinated. Outcome: after 2 months of inhabitation, the Wanderer was killed by the entity via a lightning strike. Meg officials were notified to this after the entity broadcasted the information present in this documentation of the manifestation. The entity said that the Wanderer had sinned beyond reprieve and had to take them out of their misery. Nice. So now you get kind of a sense of how these manifestations can be. Now, like I said, these are just 3 examples of what a manifestation could be, so yours might be different or similar. It just depends on the person. There are only theoretical entrances to level 666, and there aren't any official ones. But these entrances tend to work, so we're going to call them official anyway. You can enter if you were on level 80, and if you drive off of a road called Route 66. You'll eventually reach a shack with the "Welcome to Hell" text on the rooftop, If you walk into that shack, you'll fall through the floor and end up here on level 666. The other entrance is on level 105, and you have to go into an altar there and recite a Bible verse in the KJV Revelations 5 times, and you'll be pulled to this level. To exit, you have to perform something called the Mountain King Ritual and live through it. Now, the Mountain King Ritual sounds really stupid, but I'm going to tell you what it is anyway. You have to sit down and clap 13 times and say, quote, "I mock you, foolish king," and then hit the closest wall as hard as you can. Once you do this, you'll close your eyes and wait until you hear music. When you do hear music, open your eyes and start walking. You'll begin to notice that there's entities and creatures following you, and the music will start to get louder and louder and louder until the music is blasting in your ears and the entities are chasing after you. If you outrun the entities and you'll make it to the end, you live, and if you don't, you don't. And this will get you out of level 666. Nice. So yeah. Level 666 is like someone's own personal purgatory, and to escape it, you have to do that dumb ritual I just talked about. Level Scopophobia, or level whatever this symbol is, by Nick from the Discord. It's classified as a class 5 difficulty and is unsafe, unsecure, and is completely devoid of entities that we know of, but it is extremely dangerous. So the word scopophobia is actually the fear of being stared at or stalked, which leads to anxiety and feelings of being uncomfortable. And since that's the level's name, you can only imagine how creepy this is about to be. The level itself looks like an infinite number of small, tight, and cramped wooden rooms with skinny, steep staircases connecting them. And these staircases require you to bend over and hunch down to even walk through them because they're so short. Even if you're already short, you're probably gonna have to crouch. The rooms themselves can be anything, like kitchens, bathrooms, living rooms, and even bedrooms. And everything is made out of wood. Kinda like the interior of a cabin. Every room only has one thing in common, besides being made out of wood, and it's that they all have grayscale paintings of nature on the walls. Living rooms typically have glass doors or windows or both on one wall, but they're actually blacked out. You can't see through them, you can't break them, and you can't open them. They're just in place of where real windows and real doors would be. Some rooms have TVs that are on, but the only thing playing is just straight up static, and a soft static buzz echoes throughout most of the rooms. There's also soft jazz playing throughout the entire level, never getting louder or quieter, so it's unknown where its source is from, but it does add a little creep factor to it. What is known though is that 2 people cannot meet on this level, even if they're both here at the same time. The only way to communicate with another person is through walkie-talkies, but even then, the audio is distorted and hard to hear. This is kind of like how people in the real world can talk to people in the Upside Down from Stranger Things through radios. Neat stuff. Now it's time to get into the really creepy part of this level. After you get here, you'll start to feel an eerie liminal space vibe that you get with most Backrooms levels, but this will wear off in about 5 minutes. Then after this, that soft jazz will suddenly stop, and you'll start to feel like you're being watched. And after about 15 minutes of feeling this, you'll start to hear knocking on the doors and on the windows and walls. And since you can't see outside, you'll probably be freaking out, because I know I'd be freaking out if I heard that stuff. After 45 minutes, those gray paintings from the walls will actually turn into pictures of you from this level. Like someone took pictures of you and put them on the wall. That's what it seems like. And you'll start hearing shuffling footsteps echoing through the staircases and rooms behind you. Then eventually those footsteps will get closer and closer, but when you turn around, you can't see anything until you look in the mirrors on the level. If you do this, in the back corner of the room that you're in, you'll see something standing and staring at you. Can't actually make out what it is, just a shadow of a humanoid with eyes, but that's all you can see, and that is terrifying. But that is not the worst part, because after this, you'll start to feel breathing on the back of your neck, right behind your ears. But whatever you do not turn around, because you won't be seen again if you do. If you're still alive at this point, then you should be able to escape now, and you definitely need to, except no one knows how to escape, but most people said that they happened to escape when they were near a TV. So just go to one of those areas. To enter this level, for whatever reason, you can find an old wooden chair with an eye carved into it, and then sit into the chair, and you'll be sitting here. But yeah, that level literally gives me the creeps. Like, just imagine being taunted and harassed by whatever this thing is, and hearing knocking and running sounds, and you can't see anything. I would be terrified. So Ashes to Ashes, or level negative 319, is classified as a class 5 difficulty and is very, very unsafe and unsecure, and it's really dangerous because of non-entity hazards. So you don't really have to worry about creatures or stuff like that attacking you. It's the level itself that's going to attack you. The level takes place inside of a really old and broken down house that's all covered in a thick layer of dust, ash, and other kinds of trash and waste. There are 3 bedrooms in this house, 1.5 bathrooms, and there's also a basement, an attic, a living room, and a dining room, as well as a kitchen and office, but you can't even get to the basement or attic, so that's kind of lame. The temperature inside of this disgusting house is always pretty cold. It stays around 47 degrees Fahrenheit, or negative 8.3 degrees Celsius. And on top of it being cold, it also feels really damp, and it smells dank and just awful, kind of like mold, as you can imagine. Now, no one knows what the outside of the house looks like because every exit is sealed with some kind of impenetrable material. And from what you'll see in a second, you don't really have time to try to exit the house like by going at the door, so no one really cares or knows what's outside. When this level was found, there was a big note carved into the table in the kitchen that pretty much says who was there and why they think they won't make it out of the level alive. One of the wanderers was 13, one was 16, one was 25, and one was 31, and that 13 and 16-year-old were siblings. But that note includes some really creepy details and honestly just some terrifying stuff about why this level is dangerous. I'm just going to read you the last paragraph, and it says, "I do not want to be forgotten, so find a way out. This place ages you by 1 year every 5 minutes. I timed it. I've been trying to find a way out for 6 hours now. I watched my sister unalive about 30 minutes ago, and she since has crumbled into ash and dust. I'm not too far behind, but I'm exhausted. I understand now why my grandfather was tired all the time. I'm going to unalive here. I made my peace with that. I'm too tired to go any further. I guess I wrote this to beg you to find a way out. When you get out of here, tell the others not to come to level negative 319. If they happen to find themselves here, tell them to find an exit as soon as possible." So yeah, just like that note said, this level makes you age 1 year older every 5 minutes that passes when you're there. So if you stayed in the level for 6 hours, you'd be getting older really, really quickly. And this anomaly is why there's ashes all over the ground, because when you unalive, you literally disintegrate and fall into ash and add to that ash pile. So that's so creepy. I'm like, wow, that is disturbing. There's also been some researchers that got stuck in this level after that first note was left, and they left some information on the walls written in blue crayons. Apparently most people unalive at around age 85, according to this note, but one of these explorers' colleagues was actually earlier than that, and they unalived at age 60 from diabetes, which means that this level can make you have illnesses that you'd get normally while aging in real life, but you get it way faster here because it ages you so much quicker. The researcher who wrote those findings on the wall apparently developed some kind of illness themselves, and it was some kind of heart disease because of the rapid aging. And well, you can guess what happened to both of them. The weird thing is that this aging isn't just for humans, because it affects entities that are here too. One wanderer went to the bathroom on this level and found an old hound in the bathroom, ran away from it, and then the hound started chasing and then just disintegrated because it was so old, and he just watched it turn right to dust. So yeah. Now, the first person to ever make it out of this level alive and to escape and stuff was named Wanderer BB, and apparently he was 14 years old when he got sent here, and when he left, he was 38 years old because he was trapped in the level for 2 hours, which made him become 24 years older than he was when he got here. He still has no idea how he got to this level, but the good news is he does know how he escaped. The way he got out was he went to the upstairs bathroom and found the mirror there, and the mirror was covered in dust and ash, obviously, so he wiped the mirror down, cleaned the ash off, and then got no-clipped instantly to...
You're watching a toothbrush play Billie Eilish. But did you know that there's a YouTube Music app where you can also listen to the EDM version, the ska version, and of course, the original version? Duh. Get YouTube Music Premium.
Level 0. He was 24 years older, but he was alive, which is better than what everybody else could say. There's no way to tell how many wanderers have actually gotten to this level and never escaped, because the entry is still unknown, like no one knows how you get here. But it is imperative and very important that the second you get sent here, you run upstairs to that mirror and you hope that it works to send you out. Because if it doesn't, you can age 24 years in 2 hours, so yeah. So this level is classified as a class variable difficulty, which means that its safety and stableness changes depending on where you go inside the level. Now, according to the fandom, this level is actually a sub-level of the original level Run for Your Life, which I've done a video on if you are interested in that. And if you haven't heard of that, it's a terribly scary level in and of itself, where you spawn in and you have to run instantly away from a huge horde of entities. And at first glance, the first part of this sub-level looks like the normal level. It's a long hallway that's basked in a red lighting, and this entire part is pretty similar to the main level in that there's an entity horde chasing you and your sanity is dropping. But where it changes is that every so often there are doors on the left or right side of the hallway that can open up to different levels, but the levels that they open up to are typically dangerous levels, not safe levels, so they're dangerous. And some of them even lead back to the main part, which is level exclamation mark. So unless you want to go back to the main level and do this entire running thing again, it's not recommended to try any of these exits. So I'm sure you're asking yourself, what does this sub-level do that sets it apart from the main level? Well, the main thing is there are extra steps and extra dangerous things that can happen to you here. There are random liquid pain puddles that you can step in, and there are some carpeted sections of the hallways that have poisonous carpet fluid inside of them. And if you lose your shoes or you walk through these areas with your bare feet or socks on, that might be it for you. Because if your feet touch liquid pain or this carpet fluid, then the pain will be worse than unaliving itself. So that just adds on to the difficulty on top of the entity horde chasing you. There is one pretty cool thing about this level though, and is that if you run for a really long time, like 10 plus miles on this level, then you might find a staircase that goes up, and if you go up that staircase, you might get to the promised land, which is a thought to be exit of the backrooms itself, but it's not confirmed if it is. Some people are really thinking that it is, and I've done a video explaining all of that, so go check that out if you haven't. But if you find this staircase, I would recommend 10 out of 10 going to that staircase just to find the exit. It's worth it to me to try it. As you know, the main level exclamation mark isn't too long, only a few miles, but this sub-level is way longer and more confusing to run through. The good news is that there's these anomalous blue hallways scattered randomly throughout the level that can be randomly accessed to people. Now these don't appear to everybody, and it's really unknown why they even exist, but they're pretty safe and they're a good spot to take a break from running for a second. And like I said, these hallways are blue, and that's how you'll know that you ran into a safe spot. So a basic outline you can use is that a blue hall has a chance to appear every 4.5 miles of running. And these blue hallways are also exits of the level, because there's staircases in those that go down, and if you walk to the bottom of those staircases, then you'll be sent to a random level. There are also entities here that are unlike any entities in the back rooms. So that massive entity horde behind you that's going to be chasing you is full of the regular entities like death moths and smilers and hounds and that kind of stuff. But there are also extra entities in this sub-level. And what they do is that their only goal is to cause your sanity to drop. Like, that is their entire reason for existing, is to make your sanity less. So they're in that giant horde of entities, and you can't really get a good look at them because they're just blended in with the entire thing, but you can definitely feel the effects of losing your mind. And if you somehow get sent to this level after the previous Run for Your Life level, then you'll be extra susceptible and more likely to go insane from these entities. But if you couple that liquid pain puddle stuff and the poisonous carpet juice along with this entity horde full of creatures that make your sanity go down, that makes this level even more terrifying than the main level. It's also longer, so you have to run for further. To enter this sublevel, well, there's a 50% chance that you can get stuck here from being in level 2, or you can get here by choosing an unlocked door in the hallway of level ! Which would absolutely suck, because imagine you're already running for your life and you find a door that can open finally, only for it to lead you to a longer red hallway in this level where you also have to run for your life. That'd be terrible. And you can exit the level from one of those blue hallways I talked about, or you can chance opening one of the doors to run past, but as I said earlier, you never know where that's going to lead you. It might be dangerous, or it might lead you back to level ! You can also run to the quote-unquote end of the level to find that staircase that goes upwards to be taken to the promised land. But that would require running for miles and miles, and honestly, I don't think I can do that, so I would just try a door or try to find a blue hallway. I thought this level was pretty cool, and I thought it blended pretty well with the famous level ! It's just like it, but it's more dangerous and it's longer. And I like how there are a couple of exits that actually lead back to the main level, because you don't really find that oftentimes with sub-levels that are written in the back room, so I like how that stays that way. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Level 4000, aka the Final Frontier, is extremely unsecure and unsafe for the most part, except in one part, which I'll talk about later. And the level is split up into 2 distinct sections, which I'll be explaining in depth, of course. But the 2 sections are called Thalassophobia and the Near Shore Area. The Thalassophobia area is unsafe and unsecure, and has undocumented entities around, as well as a extremely
15 grams of protein in one affordable cup. New Yoplait Protein.
Whenever heartburn strikes, get fast relief with Tums. It's time to love food back. Also try new Tums Gummy Bites.
Dangerous, documented one, but this part of the level induces a deep sense of thalassophobia to you the second you're in it. Even if you don't have that to begin with, it still gives it to you, which is just terrifying, man. Also, if you don't know what it is, thalassophobia is the fear of underneath of water, the things underneath of it. This area has another weird effect on you where it drains your sanity constantly, and you can't even help it. It just happens. This section also has extremely deep, dark water, and the sky is always gray with no sun, and the water is always rough and choppy. The only confirmed entity here is called the Death Whale, which pretty much sounds exactly like the name suggests, and is exactly like the name suggests. But I'll explain it in detail in the entity section of the video, so be patient. But yeah, that's it for the Thalassophobia section of the level. It's dangerous, it's deep, it's a dark ocean. What else is there to say? The next section is called the Near Shore Area, and this area is actually pretty safe and moderately secure, which is way better than the Death Whale infested water. Since its name is literally near shore, I'm sure you can guess that this section is near a shoreline, quote unquote, but don't get your hopes up because there is no actual shoreline. It's just an infinite section of an area that looks like it's gonna be a shoreline, but you can never get close to it. Kinda sucks. Apparently 2 Meg members traveled 26 miles towards the shore that they thought was a shore, and they didn't get any closer. This area has these black rock island formation things that stick out of the water, and there's lots of other sea life here as well, like birds and lizards and that kind of stuff, as well as seagulls and mackerels and other fish, and you know, just the typical ocean stuff. And a really creepy entity also lives here called La Kamiloa, which I'm going to talk about in depth in the entity section, so you'll see it there. Every 4 hours in this area, a random mist will start to roll over the water, and off in the distance you'll see a lighthouse light and the tower very faintly. But it's impossible to get to this lighthouse because it seems to change directions, and after about 5 hours of this mist in this lighthouse, it'll all disappear and it'll all be gone. And that was the last part of the wait, there's a secret part. What?
You might be cheating.
The secret part of level 4000 is called the Silver Waters, and is safe, secure, with no entities. This section of the level has only been seen by 2 people ever, and the entrance to it is unconfirmed and obviously unsafe. The water in this section of the level is kind of metallic. It has this weird thick texture to it, and it's also been tested and is actually made of a very similar compound to liquid silver. So like melted silver, but in ocean. Interesting, very interesting. So for the long-awaited entity section, there are 2 main ones that I want to talk about, and those are the death whales and then the La Kamiloa. We'll get into the death whales first. These things look like normal humpback whales, which if you didn't know, are already one of the largest things on planet Earth, so that's terrifying. But instead of the peaceful giants from real life, death whales are anything but that. They are dangerous. They can detect you from miles away when you're in the water, and they can swim straight up towards you, and like a reverse torpedo, they will open their mouth and shoot right up at you and try to swallow you. The only chance of survival you have is to swim away just in time to dodge them. They also sometimes just come out of the water and just sit there with their mouth open for a little bit, almost like they're drinking oxygen. I don't know. It's different from real life whales, because obviously real life whales have air through a blowhole, so maybe these things don't have a blowhole and they just breathe through their mouth. So far, there's been a total of 56 victims of these death whales, and the number will probably keep going up as more and more people go to this level. The next entity is the La Kamiloa entity, which is just terrifying to look at. I mean, just look. This creature is very mysterious and is rarely seen, but it's really unknown how it's supposed to act, because sometimes it's aggressive, but most of the time it's not. It looks like a large humanoid that's made out of stone, and it's supposed to be around 100 feet tall, but that's just how tall it is when it stands out of the water. Like, imagine how tall it actually is with its feet touching the bottom of the ocean. It's gotta be like 20 miles tall. The creature has only actually unalived 2 humans total by accidentally dragging them down underwater, but apparently it's kind of friendly to humans and doesn't actually seek out to attack them like someone else we know. But yeah, a 4-mile tall stone humanoid creature is still terrifying. There are actually 2 colonies on this level. Those are the Ocean Explorers and the Noki Noki. The Ocean Explorers, well, they're ocean explorers, and they're the only official group stationed here. They live on a huge inflatable raft on the water, and they guide wanderers to the exit of the level. Kinda wholesome, and they also like to swim, which is also wholesome. Now, the Noki Noki tribe is a tribe of 50 people who live on one of those rock outcropping island things, and they seem to be like a hunter-gatherer society that just hunts animals in the nearshore area. They're moderately hostile to outsiders, but can be bargained with if you don't get really aggressive. To enter this level, the only reliable way is to no-clip through a wet spot in the carpet in level 0. The rest of them are unreliable and are kind of finicky. Now, to exit this level, you can find a specific circle of rock formations and then just wait on top of them to be teleported to the hub, or in extremely rare occasions, you can see the shore that I was talking about earlier, but the shore has a city on it when you see it, and then you can swim towards it, and then you'll be in level 1976. But that's extremely rare. The other 2 exits almost never happen or never work, so don't even try. Level Redacted is a level that looks like an infinite maze of yellow walls and doorways. It's only accessible through quantum fluctuations in the void, so that means you can only enter it if you no-clip through the idea of reality itself. The level itself is cataloged as one of the scariest levels in the backrooms because of its maze-like layout and the isolation that it puts you through. Oh, and the fact that there's no known escape. So, and people who come here are seemingly doomed to wander the halls forever. But if it makes you feel any better, there are no entities here. So, the main part of the level is the infinite yellow walls and doorways part, but there are a ton of sub-levels as well. You can enter sub-level 1 if you wander around the main level for 5 days. Then you'll come across a staircase that seems out of place inside of the yellow wall, and these stairs will lead directly to sub-level 1, which physically is an exact copy of the main level, but it's just gray, so that kind of sucks. This sub-level does have more decoration on the walls, so I guess that's nice, but most importantly, it has mirrors on the wall. These mirrors are how you travel to the next sub-level, and the next sub-level itself is a brown copy of the first level, so that's kind of boring, but that's what it is. The next sub-level after that is the easiest one to get through, and there are actually functioning lights in this level so you can travel around and rest a little bit easier. Although it is unknown how to actually leave this level, because it seems to be just random, people just disappear from it. Sub-level 4 looks like a factory with industrial stuff everywhere. There's even a big pipe that runs through the ceiling, and if you walk through that pipe, you'll get to the next sub-level. From here, there are exactly 20 more sub-levels, so there's 24 in total, and each of them are vastly different from each other, ranging from levels that are entirely glitch pools, or levels that are just giant destroyed.
I finally figured out the perfect Wawa drink order. Is the drink that goes perfectly with my day.
Now, smoothies, lattes, or any handcrafted 16-ounce or 24-ounce beverage for just $3 or $4. Gotta have a Wawa.
Here he is now.
Hi, I'm just trying to make sense of all this data.
Just get Sasvaya.
Sasvaya? No!
Oh, wow. The quickest way from a billion points of data to a point of view. Sasvaya.
Fast food restaurants. So yeah, I guess pretty insane. Now I'm sure all of you noticed there was a random dude in the thumbnail of this video, and I'm also sure none of you recognized him, but he's actually pretty legendary in the Backrooms community. His name is Dr. Huel H. Charles, and he's a wanderer of level Redacted that's apparently from a future timeline. Dr. Charles is actually the founder of several outposts in levels 6 and 11, and he claims he was born on August 8th, 2051. He has an insane talent for creating machines and robots, and he even got hired by the Backrooms Exploration and Discovery Group on level 11 as a mechanical and medical doctor. Nice. So it's kind of like an Indiana Jones in the Backrooms, you could say. Except when he got trapped in level Redacted, he ended up creating a wormhole to the front rooms, so back to reality, using some spare parts. This guy was a genius. And he said that in his last transmission that he found a way to get back, and he hasn't been heard from since then. So who knows? Maybe he may. So Backrooms level 32 is classified as a class 5 difficulty and is really unsafe and really unsecure. There's also a powerful entity living in it, which we'll get into more later. So the level itself looks like a constantly dark forest that goes forever in every direction. The sky is dark with no stars and only has a single crescent moon in it, which is the only light source of the entire level. The forests are filled with dark trees that have skeletons hanging from the branches. That's creepy. The bones act like wind chimes and they'll clatter together whenever a breeze is blowing. And some people have even claimed that they've heard the skeletons talking to them. And they say stuff like about their old lives, or they tell the future and prophesy the future. No one's confirmed this, but it's just what some people say, and honestly I really like that idea. Other than these skeletons, there's one entity that walks the dark forest, and she appears in 2 forms. The first form is called the Belle, which is a pale woman with black hair and a nice dress on. She has skeleton face paint on, and she's, pretty nice. Or is she? The Belle doesn't talk, but she lures wanderers into following her, kind of like a siren does to pirates. Sirens would lure pirates into the water and then drown them. Well, that's what this thing does too. If a wanderer does end up following the Belle, she will lead them deeper into the woods to her other form, the Skeleton Queen. This form is a really tall, skeleton-y figure in an old black dress. The entity is really powerful and can somehow control the entire domain of the level. Like she just can control everything. If you're kind to her and you listen to what she has to say, then you might be let go. But if you aren't, then she'll tell the trees to grab you and just to rip you apart, because she can control everything. Or if she really doesn't like you, she might even fake letting you go, and then while you're running away, she just opens a hole in the ground right under you, and you fall into it, and then you get buried by the soil. That's creepy, man. My advice is to not follow the bell in the first place, no matter how much you want to, unless you want to get eaten by a giant skeleton. As of right now, there isn't a known entrance to level 32, and it seems like the only way to get there is to get lost in a dark forest on some other level, but no one knows for sure. Weirdly though, some people have said that they've no-clipped from real life directly into this level, which would suck really bad considering most people actually go to level 0 first. And I feel like that one would be significantly less scary than this one. And the only way to exit the level is to see those hanging skeletons and then get lured by the bell to see the skeleton queen. The only way you can leave is to just be nice to her, and your life's literally in her hands. If you're kind to her and she allows you to leave, then you'll just be cool. You'll wake up in a different forest on another backrooms level. But if you're rude to her or short with her or something, well then you're probably gonna get eaten by a tree. No lie. But if you do get sent to another forest on another level, you'll wake up and you'll remember what just happened, but to you it'll feel like it was a dream and not reality. But deep down, you will know that it wasn't a dream. There's also a little story at the end of the entry that's pretty much a girl trying to find the skeleton queen so she can bring back her unalived lover, like back to life, in exchange for her own life. And it works. So that's cool, I guess. So Backrooms level 7777, aka Bloodlust Masquerade, starts with a warning for anyone who might get shocked or goofed up with stuff like mental trauma or light descriptions of gory stuff. If that kind of stuff messes with you, then you probably shouldn't continue. But as always, I do censor everything pretty much, so you're not going to really hear anything. You're just going to hear code words for deep things. So, yeah. The level itself looks like a smallish house from the late 1990s. There's bookshelves on the wall, and the floors have a brownish carpet color. But the carpet itself is covered in a red liquid that typically comes out of people sometimes, if you know what I'm saying. The walls themselves are also painted red, if you know what I'm saying. But this red stuff is all over everything. There's actually been DNA tests done on this liquid, and it's been linked to the same people who have actually been on this level before. Even if they didn't get hurt, it still can match to them, which is really interesting. There are 3 main rooms in this house on the first floor, and those are the living room, the kitchen, and the bathrooms. All of them have this weird effect called the level 7777 effect, and I'll get into what that means in a second, so buckle up. There's actually a second floor to this house as well, with 2 smallish bedrooms. Now this floor is the only one with windows, since the first floor is completely dark. But when you look outside of the windows, it's just a glitchy, distorted void. There's nothing out there. The windows also won't even open, so you just gotta look through the glass. And they don't even give light, really, just instead a kind of a faint glow. So it's recommended to bring a flashlight if you're gonna be coming to this level, but trust me, you're probably gonna want to avoid the level. When you shine your flashlight in some rooms, you can see that in the different areas, some of them have a black and white effect, meaning that everything you see will be black and white only. Like I said though, this only happens in some specific rooms, so no one knows why, but it's really weird. So now I'm going to explain that thing I mentioned earlier called the level 777 effect. Tighten down your seatbelts, this gets insane. So now I'm going to talk about the level 7777 effect, which appears to everybody as a active cognito hazard. This could really mess you up if you don't keep your sanity with you and your bearings straight. So get ready. The second you get to this level, you'll smell rotting and decaying flesh of some sort. Now this smell is kind of wafting through the entire level, and it doesn't really lead to one thing at first. Until you start to follow the smell, you'll be led to one of the rooms that I talked about earlier. And if you walk into that room, suddenly you'll feel like you're standing in a pool of quote-unquote red paint. Wink wink, if you know what I'm saying. Or you'll feel like you're standing on a floor made out of flesh, if you know what I mean. Now, if you feel this stuff on your feet, whatever you do, don't look down because of what happens if you do. If you look down at whatever you're standing on, the darkness that's in this level will start to fade away, and you'll be able to see in full brightness what you're standing on. And what you'll see is every friend or family member or person you know in real life will be under you. Wink, wink. If this happens, then you'll start to go insane, obviously, because you're seeing people you love and care about just there, under you, unalived. Once this insanity starts, there's literally no going back. You'll just keep getting worse. You'll feel hopeless and guilty and sorrowful and sad. But the best thing you can do if you get stuck in this 7777 effect is to try to just chill in the corner of the room until the grief is past. When this grief state is over, most people will still go insane from what they just experienced, which makes sense because obviously of what you just saw when you looked down. The good news is that if you don't show many emotions, or if you're pretty emotionally strong, or if you're a sociopath, then the level 777 effect won't really mess you up. You'll kind of just go on like normal. But if you're really emotional and things like this mess you up in the head, then it's going to be tough. So that was the dangerous cognitohazard effect for this level, and that's what makes this level extremely dangerous, and you probably...
Shit. Balls. Double shit balls.
有麦吗？有麦吗？能说话吗？
Nah, bruh, stop playing. That got me mad. Watch the flip. Wow. Oh, wow. Dude just pulled a Matrix. Wow, look at him. He's in the bridge. He's on the bridge. Wow, wow, wow.
Friendly mosquito deployed. Hostile SAE near your position. Hostile UAV in the area.
Got a ramp on the water over here. He laying down next to the car. Shit.
Friendly precision airstrike inbound.
Where the fuck? I'm not pushing hard enough for it.
Friendly mosquito active. UAV is being fuel. The enemy is in disarray. Press the advantage.
Bro, he's shooting over there and I'm shooting at him like funny, man. Damn, motherfuckers don't die. Where the fuck am I playing? Core? No, hardcore. What the fuck? Lay down, we need one more kill. Get in, 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 get in. Oh my god.
Mission failed. Return to base.
What is that now? What is that you for?
I'm not playing. It was an ad.
If you think you know, you know. Why won't my stocks trade higher?
Coming to me 24 hours.
Holy fuck.
And buy something for $1.
Shut the fuck up. I hope someone's gonna grab bomb. Ooh, he's looking at that.
He's at the police car right in front of you.
I got one, but not the second.
Damn. Yeah, bro, they're watching that shit. They know bombs down there. Best bet is go through the plane, come out the back end. I don't know whose bright idea it was to put that out there, but try not doing that next time.
Hardcore, search and destroy. Detonate the target objective. An enemy squad.
Fucking hell.
What the fuck?
Yep.
Down, B.
Why are you even pushing the plane? These dudes are pushing the plane and they don't even have bombs.
Don't go plane.
Hardcore, search and destroy. Hostiles are
I kinda agree with you.
Whenever I play, I never really push plane. I push that window, watch it.
That sounds like a nice strategy. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, smell.
That golf cart right around the corner.
What? Oh, let me have some fun too.
Final minute.
Spawn, IB. Damn, we fucked this up. Plant more.
Hostile UAV in the area.
Right there.
Lost that round. Prepare for the next
I take it he ain't got ghost on.
के बाद कुछ हेयर फॉलिकल्स काफी छोटे कट जाते हैं और वो स्किन Hardcore, search and destroy. Don't let the enemy level the objective. Keep them secure.
Anybody see someone go bookstore or no?
This game sucks. me. Get out of here. How the fuck? I knew he was coming, bro. I'm gonna just shit my moment away right now.
Hostiles launched a cruise missile. Enemy UAV active. 1 minute remaining.
What am I missing right fucking now?
Hostile UAV in the area.
Fucking
30 seconds remain. The mission's complete. Good work.
I'm not having fun. Alright, I'm gonna go hit a ball and then try not to cry. And come back.
She looking at me, chat. Next time she looking at me, look what I'm gonna do. Oh shit. Oh. My guilty. She looking at me, chat. Next time she looking at me, look what I'm gonna do. Oh shit. Oh. Pleasure.
What was your last job?
You used to work in a morgue until you got caught. Okay, so I worked at a grocery store, and that was for a couple months. And then my last job was I used to work at a morgue, actually, until I got caught.
Oh my god.
Got caught doing what?
Wink at him, wink at him, wink at him. You know.
Oh, I don't.
Such a bad start.
So what's an example?
It's more of a difficult conversation an employee had with me. I'd say it's a more difficult conversation an employee had with me. Our secretary caught me taking an upskirt picture under her cubicle. He's thinking about it. I was told to be honest in this interview. He's doing it. Oh my god. The manager lady or the secretary lady caught me taking like a silly upskirt photo of her from her like cubicle desk area. Oh my god. Dude, that's terrible. Dude, that's terrible. You guys are.
So what was your last job?
You used to work in a morgue until you got caught.
Which one of y'all ate my meat, man? Which one of y'all ate my meat? Cause I had meat inside my meat, bro. One of y'all ate my meat, bro. One of y'all ate my meat. Which one of y'all ate my meat, bro?
Which one of y'all ate the meat?
I'm gonna start smelling breath, cause I know.
Oh shit, so you're about wave drop. I wonder if you're still sad fighting his demons. I'm so sad fighting demons. Oh, well, okay.
In comparison, I am the king of the skies.
Really? Really?
Really?
Really? You can help me with this? It's pretty heavy. Oh, no, dude. No, dude. What's going on, bro? Somebody's in it. Just real quick. Just please.
No.
Dude, I can't do that. Just real quick. All right, can you at least help me? Can you at least help me put it in mine?
No, dude, you
Just real quick. I just want to just put it in there and we're good to go, guys. Dude,
Open it! Good guy, dude. Don't do this. You're young, you're handsome. Please. You're a good guy, man. Look at you, bro. You're a good-looking guy. You're in shape. Can we let her out, please?
I'm so sorry.
Please. Come here, brother.
I'm so sorry.
Come here. Let's let her out, man. Okay? Can we do it? Yes? Please? Please. Please.
Let me out!
Please, man. Please. 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 Who is this kid?
It's a long story. You can help me with this? It's pretty.
Let me put it this way. It's not likely to happen, but just...
How do you arrest a man with no arms?
Guess pin him down and arrest his legs. I don't know.
Nah, Lamborghini pork chop.
Can you give me 3 reasons why you value your life? Yeah.
Use this time for some target practice. Real things coming soon.
They put me out no fucking nowhere. Lamborghini pork chop.
shed gave the green light. We're deploying you to the front lines. You're up. Grab your chutes. You are cleared hot on all threats. Watch your ass down there. I'll see you on the other side.
Resurgence. Survive the timer to secure redeployment. Earn points to speed up the countdown. Enemy soldier incoming.
Interesting.
You're being tracked by an enemy squad. Evade and survive. Time for vengeance. You're redeploying. Online. Drop inbound.
Baggy. That's all I gotta say.
Resurgence. Go get your revenge.
fuck this game.
Probably should avoid it at all costs. So when this level was discovered originally, it was just a class 0 because everybody thought that it was a chill house that was just really dark. Soon after that though, people started discovering the level effect, and some of the survivors of the effect are completely insane, off the deep end, but they remember every morbid detail about what they saw, and they're just extremely traumatized. There aren't any documented entities here, but there is believed to be a couple of undocumented ones, but it also might be that the entire level itself is an entity because of what it can do. So, yeah. To enter this level, for whatever reason, you can go into a house on level 9 that will link up to this level, or you can enter from the hub sometimes if you see red paint, wink wink, on the floor. There's only 2 exits to the level. The first one is you make it through that cognito hazard by being emotionally stable or not having emotions, and if you make it through just fine, you'll be sent to another level. And the other exit is by unaliving. So, you better start getting those emotions in check if you want to leave.
And they put this in Saddam's hands too. What do you want us to do about it? Protect us.
Pre-order the Vault Edition now.
Hello one and all, welcome back to another video here on the Brugly channel. In this video I will be showing you 10 of the most horrifying, toe-curlingly deadly, and disturbing backrooms levels that you've ever seen. These levels are so unnerving that you never will want to explore or experience them, except while watching this. These are the worst of the worst. They have the deadliest layouts, the worst effects, and sometimes the worst entities as well. And if you get a nightmare or two while watching this video, it's not my fault. Please sign here to accept the terms and conditions of this video. Anyways, thank you for clicking on this video and your amazing support. I love and appreciate you all. And I will see you at the end of the video. Let's get into it, shall we? So, first up, the document starts with an exploration log that was found on this level. The log is between 2 explorers, and the 2 people are wandering through the woods of the level when they come across an apple tree. But the apple tree just looks off to them. It's bigger than apples from real life, and it's leaking some kind of strange juice. Thinking nothing is wrong, one wanderer just bites into the apple, and after that, they knew that they did the wrong thing. The apple tastes off, and it starts leaking that weird substance. The wanderer then starts to convulse and to purge repeatedly. She falls down and her skin starts to split apart, and her bones start to shift and multiply into multiple legs and arms. Her face starts to morph and distort, and she grows pincers and legs. The other wanderer that she was with watches in horror at what's happening to their friend, and freaks out because their friend just turned into some kind of human centipede creature. So he drops his apple, runs away as fast as possible, and he's almost in the clearing until he trips. And you can guess what the centipede does next. So yeah, that was the intro log. What a great way to start off the level. You know, I definitely want to go there now. It seems really safe. Now it's time for the level description. Level 65 of the Backrooms is the 66th level, and it's been classified as a Class 4 difficulty, being very unsafe, very unsecure, with a medium dangerous entity count. The level itself has been split into 5 specific parts. The main area, the apple trees, the mouths, the centipedes, and the stump. So first I'm going to explain the main area so you can kind of get a sense of what we're dealing with. Level 65 is a constantly foggy and misty forest that has a bunch of different types of trees scattered throughout it. The trees seem to all be a reddish color, and their leaves are also dark red. Across this forest landscape, a thick, humid fog stagnates through the level, which makes it really hard to see out in front of you or really hard to see above you. There's no other weather besides a cool breeze that blows through the forest, which keeps the temperature at a nice, chill, fall-like temperature. The trees inside this level are not regular trees, because they seem to be carnivorous, as in they literally eat meat. What kind of meat do they eat, you might ask? Well, it's specifically the meat of individuals who don't make it out of the level, their corpses being absorbed into the ground by the tree's roots. So far we have giant centipedes, weird poisonous apples, and carnivorous trees. Nice. Speaking of the ground, though, it's littered with red leaves and those oversized centipedes, some of which have been measured to be over 6 feet long, which is totally not horrific. No, it's totally fine. Anyways, that's the main part of the level, a red-colored, misty forest with cannibal trees. Now, I'm going to talk about the apple tree section. So the blood apple trees on this level manifest themselves evenly in evenly spaced rows. Each row is approximately 15 feet apart from the other row, and from the outside perspective, they just look like an apple orchard with red trees and apples. Nothing too crazy. But it's when you start looking at the actual apples that you notice something is off. The apples on the trees are very anomalous, and like I said, they seem to leak this red, vicious liquid. The liquid is very similar to stuff that comes out of our veins, but it's thought to be from animals. But just know that you should never eat any apples that you find on this level. Don't touch or bite or lick the apples, because, well, you saw in the log what would happen. You'll start to turn sick, and you start convulsing, and you'll eventually crack yourself into a centipede shape, and then you'll be a person, but you'll also be a centipede. Pretty scary to think about, to be honest. But once a person eats an apple or touches an apple and starts to purge and throw up, that's when they're completely lost and they can't be saved, no matter how hard you try. Not even almond water could save them there. The next part of the level is the mouths. Yes, the mouths. These are really rare areas in the ground of the level that look like large, fleshy pits. They're around 9 feet in diameter, and they're an unknown depth, and they take the appearance of a circle, and it looks like a mouth. From far off, the openings just look like cave openings, but when you get closer, you'll notice that the mouths are covered in a flesh-like material, and sometimes you can see bits of matter swirling down their esophaguses, or esophagi, if you want to be fancy. Now, it's obvious that you shouldn't go near these mouths unless you want to fall in and never be seen again. The origin and the purpose of these fleshy pits are unknown, but there are some theories that have emerged that could explain them. One theory is that the level feeds directly through these mouths, and just like the trees that feed from the ground here, they soak in human bodies into themselves to somehow fuel the level. Others think that the level is some sort of giant super creature, and the mouths are just openings to its insides. Either way, it is pretty disgusting to see a biological mouth in the ground, in the woods. That is pretty terrifying. Some other weird things have happened surrounding the mouths as well. A common occurrence is to hear screaming coming from inside the mouths. Now, the screaming is either disembodied or it could be from somebody who fell in. We don't know, but hearing echoing screams through flesh mouths in the middle of the woods is definitely nightmare fuel. So moving on past the mouths to the next part of the level, which is the centipedes. Now, these can be normal sized, like a few inches long, to, like I said, up to 6 feet long, and they are very aggressive entities. They'll chase you the second they see you. They're also very quick, and they can climb things, so you're pretty much screwed if one sees you. In a gross twist of fate, Some wanderers have actually managed to unalive a centipede in self-defense, and they've noticed that the inside of the centipede, inside of the skin, is a full human skeleton in the shape of a centipede that's been morphed into that shape, which is absolutely disgusting. But I guess it makes sense because it happens when you eat the apple and that red juice inside of it. Again, it is unknown how this happens, why it happens, or the biological process into how the humans transition into centipedes and how the bones crack to take the shape. We just don't know. All we know is that it's extremely dangerous to encounter these creatures. The last part of the level is known as the stump, which in and of itself is a very deep area inside the level. It looks like a cleanly cut black stump that has a bunch of anomalies that surround it. For example, when you get close to said stump, you'll experience sensory issues, and things will start to look distorted and broken. You'll be really disoriented, and you'll start to panic. After this, you'll begin to hear auditory hallucinations and see visual hallucinations pop in and out of your peripheral vision. And of course, literally, no one knows why this happens, but some people have even reported seeing silhouettes of dark human figures crawl out of the ground near the stump when the hallucinations start. Again, it's not known if it's a hallucination or if there are actual shadow creatures there. But when these hallucinations start, everything around you begins to turn a deep crimson red. The trees become black silhouettes, and everything becomes this derealization effect of this red horror. So if you encounter the stump, the best thing you can do is to instantly run the opposite way so you don't get trapped in its circumference of hallucinations. The stump itself seems to call wanderers to it and kind of lure them its way, which is why it's really hard to escape once you're there. Because of these attributes, this has led people to believe that the stump is sentient somehow, or maybe the core of the level. Other than a few theories, no one knows why the stump does this, or how it does this. It's just one of those things in the backrooms that we'll never understand. To enter this level, you can walk through a pair of wooden gates on any outdoor backrooms level, and to exit, you have to do the same thing, and you have to find a wooden gate tucked away deep into the level. Just make sure it's not near a tree, or a mouth, or a stump, or a centipede. Actually, just make sure it's not near anything, because you probably want to make it out alive, right? This level is actually really good, and it's actually one of my favorites in a long time. You know, the dark liminality of the woods, mixed with the horror of the centipedes and the mouths and the apples, mixed with the psychological aspects of the stump, it makes this entire thing really good. Level 73 of the Backrooms, or the Redlands, as it's been nicknamed, is a level that is extremely dangerous, and I cannot state that enough. It is extremely dangerous. It's been given a Class 5 difficulty for being unsafe and unsecure and infested with scary entities. I'll get into all the entities later on. In fact, the first single line on this document says, quote, "Do not go searching for level 73," end quote. But let me tell you all about it anyway, so you can figure out why you should never search for it. The levels article was written and uploaded from deep inside a castle that's located in the middle of this level. The people that wrote the article, they ventured through the various parts of this level to get to their current location, so they have pretty decent knowledge of what the level looks like and the dangers that lie within, and their description of what the level looks like is what I'll be going over in this video. Level 73 is the 74th level inside the Backrooms. It's most commonly known amongst wanderers as the Redlands because of its dark, red-stained grass and sky features. The level takes place on some sort of island with a large ocean surrounding it. The island, as of right now, is the only accessible and searched-through part of the level, since the ocean part around it has not been explored yet. Apparently the water should not be touched or entered at all due to deadly aquatic anomalies. But the island part of the level is so hard to explore and it's just a very volatile place to be, mainly due to the entities that call this place home. The island itself is a dark red grassy island in the shape of a large circle. Scattered across the island along the red grass are trees and small shrubs that look dead and decayed. The trees and the grass and the shrubs all are circling the island, and in the middle of this circle is a large stone castle. And the entity density on this level is estimated to be one entity per 35 square feet. Let me repeat that. One thing every 35 feet. So pretty much there's going to be constantly entities around you somewhere in your eyesight. But I'm sure you're asking, you know, what kind of creatures actually live here? Why is it so dangerous? There are smilers, death moths, clumps, dullers, hounds and skin stealers and camo crawlers. Even death rats have been seen jumping through the grass. These are the most commonly reported ones, but those are just to name a few. There are also strange unknown creatures that have been documented to be here, like strange, tall, skinny humanoids that run ridiculously fast, like 50 miles an hour, and just snatch up wanderers without even seeing what they are. Again, no idea what they are, but now you know about them. Obviously, all those entities are dangerous in their own right, so when you get sent to this level, the second your feet hit the ground, you need to run as fast as you can through the field to get to the castle. Level 73 is pretty much in a perpetual state of darkness, and there's no day or night cycle whatsoever. The only light you actually have here is a full moon that casts this reddish glow across the cloudy sky. The moon itself never moves and never changes in its light intensity, giving the sky this fake, uncanny type of vibe. Now, right under what I just said, there's a sentence that states this: you do not want to use an artificial light source, and that you do not want to see at all until you get to the doors of the castle. And I'm sure, as you can tell, being on an island with entities, you don't want to turn a flashlight on because that would just signal that you're there. Like a moth to a flame, you know, they would just run at you and devour you. But I love how it says you do not want to see, because that's so scary, you know? If you can't see, then I'm sure the entities can't see as well, but the second you turn that flashlight on, they'll swarm you and they can see you. So like I said, you get here, your feet hit the ground, you sneak around and run in a straight line until you get to that castle. The silhouette of the castle is visible the second you get here. It's shrouded in that reddish moonlight glow. And it is imperative that you do not deviate or move from a straight line, and that you do not stop running because of the entities. When, and more likely if, you do reach the doors of the castle, you need to bang on them as loud as you can, and then it'll like automatically open up for you. It's unknown if the castle is an entity itself, or if it just has sentience, or somebody's watching, we don't know. The castle has been named the Silver Castle, and it is the only known building on this red island. The way it was built, or who made it, is unknown, but it's a rather expansive, Gothic-style castle that is fully furnished and fully lit with candles and stuff like that. The castle has cold stone hallways and rooms with beds and huge halls and that kind of thing. And overall, it's pretty lavishly decorated for being in the middle of an entity-infested island. It even has a main dining hall and these 6 huge bedroom areas. There are 3 floors to the castle and an attic area, all of which are accessible except the attic. And that's because a level exclusive creature made that area off limits. But I'll talk about that in a second. There are windows that look out to the island from inside the castle, but the article says, do not look outside, in big bold letters. So I'm assuming you should listen to that. There are freshwater wells and barrels of food and grains located in the kitchen area here, and overall it seems to be a place that you can stay for a while and relax. Even though there's, horrifying things happening outside, you can chill inside here. And that level exclusive entity that I mentioned lives inside this castle, and its name is Coran, or Coran, or Coran. C-O-R-A-N is how it's spelled. He is a large entity in a humanoid shape that is very muscular. He has thick black hair and 2 horn-like appendages sticking out of his head. One of his arms is gone, and in its place is a chain that is just shoved into his stub, which sounds pretty dope, I'm not gonna lie. He's very nice to wanderers, and he seems to be a protector in a way. Now, in a morbid twist of fate, he's missing both his eyes due to a large scratch across his face that he got from fighting off an entity. So instead, he wears a black bandana around the missing eyes. Apparently, his goal is to eradicate all entities on this level, which is pretty cool, but I think somebody might need to help bro out. I mean, it's like 1 versus 5,000 right now. I don't know if he's doing very effective stuff. If you want to enter this horrific level for some reason, whether you're crazy, whether you lost your mind, or whether you just want to put this level as a notch on your belt, some have reported being on level 14 or level 6 and no-clipping into this field here, randomly. But remember, if you do no-clip into the field, you have to run in a straight line to the castle. And do not hesitate, do not deviate, run. And to exit, this is where it gets pretty sad because you simply cannot. There has not been an exit found, and I'm sure if someone finds it, they'll put it on the website, but as of right now, you either will get consumed by the entity horde, or you will live out your days in the castle.
Fuck it.
You're right. Toll House cookies, best cookies in the world. Much that y'all see.
Way too much of it.
Nestle Toll House, magic in every bite.
Backrooms level 909 is called sensory deprivation. And it's not for the reason you think. You'll see why later, but it's not just its quiet level. Trust me. It's classified as a class 5 difficulty, and it's because it's unsafe, it's because it's unsecure, and it's because it's infested with entities. In reality, it's just one entity and not actually an infestation, but it's bad. The level is mysterious, and the exact layout and the exact description of it is unknown to pretty much everybody. Partially because the first sentence of the level document says, quote, level 909, hostile, file trunicated for protection, end quote. So whatever the original information was, or whatever the internet used to have, level 909 is pretty much unknown as of right now. However, I will be getting into some theories and my thoughts on what this level is, and if you want to stick around for that, I highly suggest it. But firstly, I want to get into the 2 short paragraphs that we have that describe the level, and they read as follows. Getting sent to this level is actually 100% a way to seal your fate. You will not make it out of this level at all. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that before I read the paragraph. This is genuinely, and I mean genuinely, your last warning. Click off if you get squeamish. The following quote from the level describes what will happen if someone does get sent here. Quote, information about the level, devoured violently. Observers reported forcible removal of eyes, ears, nose, tongue, performed by undisclosable entity. Victims remain conscious after mutilation, end quote. So, yeah. Remember how I said this level was nicknamed sensory deprivation? You probably thought it was because it was some sort of deprivation tank like in real life, where there's no sounds or light. But, no, this level's called sensory deprivation because the entity that controls it removes all your senses, forcibly, while you're alive and while you're conscious. It mutilates your body and forces you to feel every ounce of pain possible.
Hello everybody, I'm just popping in for a quick 2 announcements. Don't click off the video, this will be really fast. Number 1, I have a podcast channel with a bunch of other YouTubers. It's called the Nightmare Blunt Rotation. We just hit 1,000 subscribers, so go check out that channel. If you want to see me and some other guys get into some stuff, a bunch of other cool YouTubers on there, just go check it out. Second announcement, Spoogly is about to hit 100K. Spoogly, my 3rd channel, guys, is about to hit 100,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for the support on that channel. If you don't know about it, I would recommend just go checking it out. I dive like really deep into disturbing and dark topics over there, and I really think you're gonna enjoy it. If you want more like me content, that's like a serious channel where I do deep dives and documentaries. I think you'll like it. That's all I got for you. Spoogly 100K, my podcast channel. Go check them both out in the description below. The last thing I want to say is just have a great day. Make sure you don't stress over things that you can't control, and make sure you tell somebody that you love them. All right? But yeah, I will see you at the end of the video as well. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Somehow, though, the next paragraph of the level might be worse than the first one. Quote, received transmission from victims. Wet undulation. Scraping. Post-consumption. Communications smell of blood and ozone. Tastes coppery. Dental growths considered abnormal. Report immediately. End quote. Reading that was literally like nails on a chalkboard for me. I'm not gonna lie, that was actually disgusting. The process of all this pain is just wet and squelchy, and you can smell the rot and iron from yourself while it's happening. Now, a couple audio recordings have been made of whatever this is happening to you, and you're gonna hear them throughout the video, you're gonna hear some now, but the following is the scraping noises that have been recorded.
Yeah, you better be jerking my turkey.
The scraping sound is always be able to hear because this level is thought to be, you know, pitch black. and the scraping sound itself is your meat getting stripped off the bones, if you know what I'm saying. Again, while you're all conscious. The other interesting thing from that second paragraph is when it says, quote, dental growths considered abnormal. Now that's pretty interesting because, as the paragraph said, the entity will remove your tongue, so it seems like the appendages from the entity will infect your mouth with something when it reaches in to grab your tongue and rip it out. Maybe bacteria can infect your gums and cause tumors to grow or something. I don't know, that's disgusting, and somehow makes it even worse. So those two are the only paragraphs that we have about the level at all. And then underneath those two paragraphs, we get a link and a picture to the entity that does all this stuff to all the poor souls that get trapped in level 909. It's a pretty scary jump scare, I will say, and the image actually caught me off guard at first. I was writing the script at midnight and my brightness was all the way up on my laptop and it kind of just jumped out at me. Anyways, this is what it looks like. A fleshy, mucousy, red-looking lump. What seems to be 3 appendages with teeth sticking out from it. It's absolutely disgusting to look at, and it's even more gross when you realize that it uses those appendages to remove your senses. The entity does not have a name, and it doesn't have any lore behind it, but its actions and what it does to people who get sent here speak for itself, I think, and that gives it all the lore it needs. It also seems to physically consume all information that gets leaked about this level. And that's what the first paragraph meant when it said that all information about the level is devoured violently. The entity somehow consumes it physically. Of course, this is done through an unknown means, and that's also the reason that there's so little information about it. We have no real idea of anything about it. Just that one snapshot, what it might look like, and that's it. It does seem to have full control over the level's physical parts, though, and it can subdue wanderers who get sent there and then remove all their senses. It also seems to be confined to the level, which is nice. But there are no methods as of right now on how to survive the level, how to enter it, how to exit it, or any information like that. There's none available since the creature physically eats all of it. But since that's all we have, I do want to get into some theories on what the level might look like and what the entity might look like. In the picture of the entity that we have, we can see that the surroundings of it are dark. What seems to be a black wall right behind the creature. This, along with the name of the level, would imply that it's a very dark, very desolate place. Kind of thinking something like level 6, meaning that it's pitch black, and I would venture to say that level 909 is a labyrinth of hallways that are pitch black and have no natural light. I also assume that when you first get sent to this infinite dark labyrinth, you won't be able to see or hear anything. And you won't even know that there's an entity in this level until you hear its squelching and its breathing sounds getting closer to you. And once you hear those breathing sounds and those groanings, that's when you know you're not alone. And that's when the entity will hold you down and remove your senses, and you'll be stuck here in this infinite liminal black maze where no one can hear your screams and no one can end the suffering. But that's just my theory. I mean, who really knows? It is unknown what the entity does to the victims after he takes away these senses, quote unquote, but it's assumed he keeps them alive as some sort of sick and twisted game. Maybe he has dinner with them. I don't know. Let me know your theories in the comments. Your guess is as good as mine, but we can only come up with some information because there's just 2 paragraphs and that one picture. That's all we have, so who knows? But my theory is that the level is a pitch black, Vanta black almost, hallway and room system where this entity lives, and there's no light, no sounds, or nothing, and you won't even know that he's there until you hear those grotesque squelching and breathing sounds coming from further down the hallway, closer and closer, until he grabs you and starts ripping off your nose and eyes and ears and things. In the discussion part of the article, where people can post stuff, the author linked a couple image sources that say what the entity might look like, and these are those images. One is of a bunch of these fish with small sharp teeth, and the other is some sort of reaper with a bunch of wet stuff on his mask. So I guess the entity is some sort of mashup between the reaper and then these sharp fish appendages as its arms that physically eat away at your senses bit by bit. Either way, it's absolutely awful to think about a level existing that's this gross and this horrible to get trapped in. I genuinely think it's probably one of the top 3 worst ways to go out in the bathrooms and die, even though it actually takes a while to unalive since the entity keeps you alive through the entire process. That's probably the worst part. The entity keeps you sentient and alive somehow while it's ripping these parts off of you and depriving you of your senses. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that level. That was absolutely disgusting to read and research, and hearing these sounds that were in the video literally almost made me sick. That is disgusting, but that will be the last thing you hear when you get sent to this level. So hopefully I prepared you. So the game is the name that's been given to a collection of 6 sub-levels in the backrooms. Those sub-levels are press start, the stage, game paused, you cheated, game over, and you win. Now I've gone over most of these on the channel in depth in their own video, but I'm going to be going over them in this video as well, so I'm not going to be like that YouTuber that makes you go watch a different video. I'm not like that, okay? There is specific new information about all the levels in this video, and you can skip to the timestamp of each one if you want to see a specific one of them, but we're going to get into it right now. The game has been classified as a Class 3 difficulty overall, but that also includes the ending sub-level, which is a Class 0, so it's really Class 4 or 5, let's be real. Anyways, it's one huge level composed of the ones I just talked about. They're arranged in a sort of game that the wanderers that get sent here are forced to participate in. They have to. And at the end of this game, there's supposedly a safe haven type level that can be accessed. More on that later though. The game can be accessed itself by finding a poster that looks like this, scattered throughout the backrooms. No one knows who puts these posters up or how they get there, but in order to get here you have to follow the directions on one of these posters. And if you want to get to that safe level at the end, you have to complete the game. The game itself has been regarded as some kind of rite of passage recently. A thing that people in the backrooms will do as a last-ditch effort to find peace. Find a level they won't get attacked in, find a home. Since, you know, the backrooms is so terrifying, they want to get to the...
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Alright, come here, guys. I'll give you food.
Oh, what?
Take your food.
What? What?
I don't know, it's like so thick and now it's like warmish. So now it's like just thick warmness and now
That's gross.
strawberry. It's like thick chunky warmness.
Guaranteed it's gonna stop in a few seconds. Yeah, man, it's hitting that gas. think everyone else died. Wait, I see lights over here. I got you. I'm coming.
Yo, you got food?
Oh, I appreciate that.
Just a handy right
Here,
here.
take this.
I was about to give me a perk 30.
It'll make you live longer and I can find a bandage.
Oh, so I still can't get up?
No, not yet. I gotta find a bandage.
Alright.
I got you. I get a bandage.
Yo, the other guy died. Pick him up first, I ain't gonna lie.
He died.
Everyone.
How does it feel to cheat making cookies? You can't do that, guys. That's not allowed. You have to plop the dough on the tray and then just pray it doesn't come out looking like a map of Wisconsin. You guys can't. You can.
Fuck this.
This game, want to beat it, and they want to get to the end. But in order for you to understand what the game is and how you yourself can beat it, let's get into it. The game starts in a place called Press Start. Like I said, I went over this before, but the level itself is an area that's around 400 square feet in size. There are no visible doors or windows or other lighting here, and the entire room is painted a very dark shade of purplish black, with its signature black light and glow-in-the-dark shapes on the walls, on the floors, and the ceilings. Think of like an old arcade or laser tag arena. This part of the level also has that carpet that you'd see in like an old movie theater or arcade. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the very center of this level is where the stuff begins, because there is an arcade machine, just one of them, with the words "Press Start" on top. The appearance of the machine can change based on who's here, just know it's an arcade machine. When you walk up to it, it'll boot up, and it'll start a booting sequence that's kind of like a terms of service. You can either accept or deny, which you should probably accept, and the message on the screen reads as follows. I may not know exactly why you're here, but I can think of a few reasons. Perhaps you've been screwed over in some way, and you're looking for a second chance to get your life together. Maybe that you've come here to seek fortune, unlike what's ever been witnessed by humankind before. Or perhaps you may just be participating for the thrill, and you love a good challenge whenever you find one. What matters is that you have found one of the flyers that I've scattered about the back rooms and have taken up my offer. Ahead of you is a grueling game that will test your skill, your wit, and every last thing that you have ever learned. Do not take the upcoming challenge lightly or play foul, as those that do will face harsh consequences. Only the most worthy will make their way to the end of this game and obtain the prize that I have chosen to offer. For those of you who are ready to play, good luck. you're gonna need it. So yeah, pretty foreboding, ominous letter there on the screen. But if you press accept, you'll be sent to the next sublevel and next part of the game, which is called the stage. Now the stage is a place that we didn't know existed. This is not an old thing, this is a brand new thing. This is actually what bridges together all of the sublevels in this game. The stage is a large area that takes the appearance of a maze. It seems to be around a mile in the perimeter, and each different person that comes here gets a specialized different maze shape. It's almost like the Backrooms knows what wanderers here, who comes here, and how to make the maze tailored specifically for them. The maze consists of very small, cramped hallways that typically have carpet on them. There are also arcade machines randomly placed in these hallways, which kind of clogs it up, but this is where the game itself takes place. And each wanderer, to complete the game, must go and complete a series of quizzes and find a series of tools and objects to help defeat entities that are swarming around this maze. Now, if you remember, we used to think this maze was a part of level You Cheated, which isn't technically wrong since You Cheated does have a maze, but this is a brand new maze. And this is its own thing. Like I said, it connects all the different sublevels of the game. But now that we know that it's a connector between, level press start and the rest, it's pretty cool, I gotta say. It's a pretty neat thing to find. Anyways, the center of this maze is where the wanderer needs to get to. They have to go through these arcade machines, beating them, completing the challenges on the screen, finding tools and weapons on the ground, and then, defeating the entities that are chasing and flooding these hallways. But at the very center is where a powerful entity known locally as the Boss lives. And in order to truly get past the maze and complete this game, you have to get rid of the entity, annihilate it, demolish it, whatever you want to do. And you have to do so by using the objects that you find in the maze. Now, if you're in this maze running around and you try to cheat, or if you try to break through a wall, or you try to exit through a door, the Backrooms will consider this as cheating. And you know where cheaters go in the Backrooms. I mean, a million of you do. But if you try to cheat, you'll be sent to level You Cheated. However, if you do beat the entity at the center, you'll win the game, and you'll be sent on to level You Win. Now, level You Cheated is a place that most of you, like I said, are familiar with. It's a detainment type zone in this game that you're playing. People get sent here for cheating and tampering and exploiting the game, and this is just a terrible place to be. You can only access level You Cheated if the Backrooms decides to send you here. So there's like no way you can come in purposely. It's kind of good. The area itself is a very small, featureless room with a slightly open door that leads right to darkness. Beyond that door is a very dangerous version of the maze from earlier, except there are more creatures in it, and the environment is more crumbly and is collapsing, and the entities are more aggressive and strange. A lot of the creatures here have never been seen before. It's overall just a weird space. It's like the game is punishing you for being a cheater, which it pretty much is. But if you survive level You Cheated for an hour, you'll get a chance to find a token to get sent back to the game to start over. We both know that's probably not happening though. I mean, seriously, it's level You Cheated, for goodness sakes. There's no way you beat it. But if you somehow do, you might get another chance. So I'm sure you're asking now, what happens if you do unalive while playing the game, or in level You Cheated, or something like that? Well, you actually do get 3 chances at this game before you're sent to the next sublevel, which is game over. So if you do unalive 3 times somehow, which I guess you're just really bad at the Backrooms if you do that, but if you do that, you'll be sent to game over, which is a series of abandoned concrete halls that lead to nowhere, with strange creatures walking around and hostile entities waiting to attack. The creatures that live here are just very strange, and the level itself is strange. There are random rooms that are placed in weird places, and there are bedrooms and offices that are abandoned. When you get to the level, after failing the game 3 times, you'll see the game creator entity standing out in front of you, which is these red and blue eyes. You've seen it before. That entity will determine if you tried hard enough in the game, and based off of their decision, the entity might grant you one more try at the game, but who knows? It's up to them, and they're an entity, so I wouldn't trust them. This place is like a purgatory that can't be escaped. Level You Cheated was like a jail sentence that can be escaped, but this place is forever. I mean, you're stuck here in this weird concrete loop because you unalived 3 times. Honestly, you probably kind of deserve it. If you can't beat this in 3 times, you're just bad, honestly. I could do it the first try, of course. And lastly, of course, is the famed level You Win. Now, this is the place that you get sent to if you complete the game and survive the maze without cheating and without unaliving 3 times. This place is like an 11-story building. It's absolutely huge inside. It's got different floors for different things. There are supermarkets, offices, nightclubs, lobbies. It's completely safe as well, and it's pretty much the end of the back rooms in a way. You never have to leave. You can get your food and water here, and you can interact with other wanderers who beat the game. Just chill forever in this building if you want to. The building itself is also in the middle of a green field. To me, that's pretty safe, I guess, but also I wouldn't want to do that because I'd rather just continue to explore this infinite, reality and not be stuck in a level. But you can do whatever you want to. I'm not going to judge. As I said earlier, the game is a conglomeration of all these levels that I've discussed today put together. Now, we originally didn't know that they were connected like this. We had a theory about it, but we didn't know until that maze, the game place, was located. After you press start on the arcade machine, you get into that maze. Now we know it's all interwoven and all connected. Now, if you want to enter the game and try to get to the level You Win, you have to find one of those posters advertising it in the back rooms and follow the directions on it. To exit, you can press decline on the press start machine if you don't want to do it again. You can try to cheat and get sent to the level you cheated and then make it out of there, or you can win and just win. But my favorite is that you can find a wooden door on the first floor of You Win, and then there's a sign on it labeled goodbye, and if you go through that, you'll be sent to the hub level, where you can go on to explore the back rooms. Honestly, that's probably what I do, because I don't want to stay in one place forever. Anyways.
Design team, come and get your award.
I was diagnosed with thyroid eye disease just a few years ago. My bulging eyes were a real problem.
Oh my gosh, you guys, look at that light!
I struggled with thyroid eye disease symptoms for almost 30 years.
You guys go ahead with that one.
I almost didn't realize how much I was missing. But then my doctor recommended Tepezza.
And I saw the difference it could make.
Tepezza is the only medicine that treats TED at the source, not just the symptoms. In clinical studies of patients who had TED for months or years, the majority taking Tepezza had less eye bulging. Tepezza may cause infusion reactions. Tell your doctor right away if you have high blood pressure, fast heartbeat, redness of the face or feeling hot, difficulty breathing, headache, or muscle pain. Before treatment, tell your doctor if you have diabetes, inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD, or are pregnant or planning to become pregnant, as Tepezza may harm your unborn baby. Tepezza can increase blood sugar levels even if you don't have diabetes. If you have IBD, such as Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, Tepezza may cause it to flare or worsen. Tepezza may cause severe hearing problems, including hearing loss, which in some cases may be permanent. Tell your doctor if you have any signs or symptoms of hearing problems or changes in hearing. Common side effects include muscle cramps or spasms, nausea, hair loss, diarrhea, feeling tired, high blood sugar, hearing problems, taste changes, headache, dry skin, weight loss, nail problems, and changes in menstruation.
Now, when I look in the mirror,
I just see me.
Visit mytepezza.com to see clinical study results and more before and after photos.
Cash back with Chase Freedom Unlimited. Earn a $200 bonus with no annual fee and 0% intro APR. How do you cash back?
Backrooms level 86400, or Ad Memento, is classified as a class variable because everything about this level is an anomaly, and it doesn't make any sense, but I'm gonna try my best to make it make sense. The level's name, Ad Memento, means to remember, or the process of remembering, which is pretty cool considering the level gets changed every time time passes. And the level itself has a very interesting layout, to say the least. Now, it is a complete level that gets cut up into different dimensions randomly. So even though there are sub-levels, it's still one big level, just encapsulated in this one massive area. Some of the parts are dangerous and can harm human life, and some of them are safe and can be stayed in. It really all depends where you go. Sounds fun, right? Most of the level, outside of a couple of safe zones, is very glitchy and volatile and dangerous because they can warp constantly. And the only consistent thing throughout all these weird dimensional sub-areas is an old-looking massive clock tower that you'd see from real life. This clock tower will actually take the shape and design of whatever environment it's in. So if it's in a desert, it'll look like a desert clock, and so on and so forth. On this clock, there is a huge circular apparatus type thing that has around 30 notches in a circle on it. Some people think that this circular apparatus with 30 notches controls the level, and that each notch is a different setting or a different dimension that you can get sent to. And it really seems like that's the case. In fact, we know it's the case, because each time a notch gets passed, you get sent to a different sublevel in a different time period. The 5 different landscapes. Now, each of the settings or landscapes that appear in this level resemble or looks like some kind of historical or mythological location from an ancient time. These locations are very mystical and magical looking, and they look like they're from real life. And a lot of it has to do with Greek mythology. Sometimes in these landscapes, there will be weird old carvings in structures like trees, or in structures like walls, or even on the ground in some cases. Obviously, no one can read what these engravings say, because no one speaks ancient hieroglyphs, but something has been noticed about how they look. Specifically, that they sorta kinda look like ancient texts from the real-life place called Crete, which is an island off of Greece in real life. Which could mean that these different landscapes I'm about to talk about are different versions of the real-life place. Or maybe they are the real-life place, but from the past. The Maroon Isle is a landscape that looks like the Greek island Santorini from real life. You've all seen what Santorini looks like. It's the blue domed buildings on the Mediterranean, except this landscape in the back rooms has some big physical changes. Instead of the crystal clear blue water that surrounds the island, the liquid in this level has large amounts of blood in it. Almost to the point where that's all it is, just blood. And there are several weird temples on the island, and the clock tower is here too, except it's red and all viney and stuff. Everything is covered in shades of maroon red. The ground, the buildings, and just everything. Time on the clock passes pretty slow here comparatively, so it takes around 5 days for a full rotation of the apparatus to get sent to the next area. The island is pretty bad for your psychological health also, because all the red and the bloody ocean, it just messes you up. And there's also another thing that makes it pretty bad, and that thing is that there are random gut-wrenching screams from deep in the distance on this level. These screams can give you headaches and psychologically torment you because you're hearing these screams constantly. So the best thing to do is to just try to ignore them and just relax for the 5 days that you'll be here. When the clock makes a full rotation for 5 days, you'll be sent to the next setting, which is called the Acropolis. Now, this is a strange, distorted version of the real-life Greek Acropolis that you've all seen before. Now, this one is a pretty new landscape that's been found, so not much is known about it, but all the structures here look like they're about to break and collapse. Time seems to pass pretty normally here, but the color is not normal. Just like how the first area was red, this area is monochrome black and white. And there's also been some pretty unsettling discoveries in the landscape that I can't even talk about here because YouTube would demonetize me, but they're very gruesome, and you should go check it out below if you want to read it. The clock actually has not been seen here yet, but like I said earlier, each different landscape has the clock tower, so it's gotta be here somewhere. Some people think it's one of these marble statues. We don't know. But after a few hours in the Acropolis, you might be sent to the next setting, which is called the Eternal Desert. Now, this one takes the physical appearance of the real-life Sahara Desert from Africa, which is a massive desert in the northern part of the continent. Now, unlike the 2 first areas that I talked about, this one is fully infinite and has no borders. The landscape has a dark and gloomy sky that looks like it's always about to rain, and there's also chances of huge wind gusts just blowing up sandstorms everywhere. And the sandstorms can be dangerous. Some parts of this landscape are entirely made out of quicksand, which can instantly suck you in and trap you, and you could suffocate in the sand. The clock in this landscape is visible just on the horizon as far as you can see, and it takes the appearance of a big sandstone pillar. Sometimes in the sand of this area, you can see gears or skeletons of fish slightly buried underneath it. which might mean that the sands could have been the bottom of the ocean at one time, or something else, I don't know. But after a few hours on this level, the clock will make a full rotation, and you will be sent to the next setting, which is called the Twilight Mountains. And this is a unique one. This specific zone is made up of different mountain chains from real life. The Alps, Mount Olympus from Greece, the Pyrenees, the Caucasus. It's like all these mountain chains got thrown together and mixed up and are put here. And together, they form craggy, sharp peaks that look impossibly tall, like taller than Mount Everest tall. Huge. There's barely any light here, just kind of a soft glow that comes from the clock tower here, which is located on top of the tallest mountain peak. It looks kind of like a stone statue, but it is the clock on the zone. Around the mountains, there is a thick forest of pine trees, and it's always dark and gloomy and foggy there as well. And some pretty dangerous entities like to lurk here, which I'll get into in the entity section, but you definitely should not trifle too deep into the woods. After the clock ticks again, you will be sent to the last known landscape, which is called the Tartarus. And this thing is a huge mystical cave type zone, kind of like one from Greek lore that's said to be underneath Crete, the real island. Because in Greek mythology, supposedly underneath Crete there's this massive opening to the underworld, and this is sorta what that looks like. The cave is swelteringly hot, and magma flows through the floor in some parts and drops from the ceiling in some parts, but the good news is time flows normally, so you won't have to be in here for too long, just around 8 hours for the clock to tick again. Which will probably seem longer than that because of how hot it is and you'll be uncomfortable. And sometimes beside the clock, there could be seen a physical animal that resembles the real life or mythology Cerberus, which is the guardian of the underworld. And it's this massive 3-headed dog type thing that's actually there, like it's in this area. So avoid that. As you can see, all these settings and landscapes seem to be tied in with magic and mystical stuff full of mythology for some reason. The question we all have is, why? Now, there are a couple of entities that live throughout these different landscapes. The first one is called the
No matter what type of severe asthma you have, Tespire can help you have fewer attacks and relieve your asthma symptoms. Tespire is an add-on treatment for people 12 and over. It is not a rescue medication. Don't take Tespire if you're allergic to it. Allergic reactions may occur and can be serious. Rash or eye allergy can happen. Don't stop your asthma treatments unless your doctor tells you to. Tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection or your asthma worsens. Sore throat, joint, and back pain may occur. Avoid live vaccines. No matter who you are, ask your asthma specialist about Tespire today.
So don't let that chip spoil your trip.
Is that a chip? That happens a lot, but SafeLight could have helped. A chip repair is faster, cheaper, and easier than a new windshield. And with your insurance, it's usually free. So don't let that chip spoil your trip. Book today.
SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace.
Shades. And these are those that I said were hiding in the mountain area, in the Twilight Peaks. And these are shape-shifting type creatures that look like shadows. All of them are inky black looking, and they're very different from each other in how they're aggressive or how they're nice or how they treat you. But some of them can be very dangerous and shapeshift into other things that can hurt you or bring you harm in some way. Their true purpose is unknown, but it's pretty terrifying to think that they exist. And the last entity that's been seen throughout these different landscapes is called the Automaton, or the Automaton. These creatures kind of look like humanoid machines with gears and wires sticking out of them. There are also carvings and words on their bodies that are in languages that we can't understand. They're pretty aggressive and they're strong, and they normally hide in the Maroon Isle as well as the other landscapes that have been found. Both of these entities hide and lurk in the shadows, and they try to hurt you or lead you to harm. It's just very dangerous overall, and you should avoid them at all costs. To enter this level, you can no-clip through anything in all of the back rooms while holding something that's related to time, like a watch or a clock or something, and you could be sent here. And to exit, you have to go up to one of the clocks that's throughout any of these landscapes, And you need to go to the base of it and then open the door and then go inside, and you'll be sent back to one of the first 9 levels instantly. So yeah, I want to hear all of your thoughts on this level, and I want to hear your theories on why it's so tied into Greek mythology and Greece specifically. I think it's so cool that each time the clock ticks and makes a rotation, that you get changed or sent to a different level. That's a crazy cool concept, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Backrooms level 990 is classified as a class 3 difficulty and is unsafe and unsecure, and has a small but dangerous entity count. The level itself is nicknamed the Soundless Subterranean, which is such a cool name, by the way. That's cool. And it's physically a pretty cool description. The level appears to be a large cave network that has winding, curvy hallways, big open caverns, and rooms that are intercut with some old mine shafts. All over the walls and the ceilings and the floor, there are cobwebs and moss and different kinds of algae growing, and some parts of the caverns are flooded, but they are not just flooded with normal water, they're flooded with liquid pain. Liquid pain is a red liquid in the backrooms that normally hurts you, if you didn't know. Except this liquid pain here is pretty safe to the touch, just don't stay in it for long. The caves that are flooded with it can be anywhere from 10 to 20 meters, or 32 to 65 feet deep. But some of them are even deeper than that, which is really crazy. The caves are not very safe to walk through because they can go from just being a normal cave to being a huge cavern instantly, or they can go from being just a normal cave to a really claustrophobic tight tunnel instantly. None of it has any reasoning, it just happens like that. And on top of all the stuff I just talked about, there are random mine shafts that intersect into tunnels and caverns here. These shafts are made out of regular wood, but it's all really decayed and really cracked. In fact, the mine shafts are so old and broken that they can just randomly collapse at any time with just the slightest touch, which would be pretty bad if you were walking near or walking under one. The shafts sometimes have railways on them that go over into the actual caves themselves. And there's even some mine carts that have been seen there as well that are full of coal and other types of ore. But it doesn't make any sense that the carts are here because there's no way that humans got here with those carts, since some of the things are so claustrophobic you couldn't have even fit the cart through them, so who knows. Just like some of the other levels of the backrooms, this level has some non-Euclidean effects that just make it dangerous. However, these effects aren't really noticeable until a few miles back in the cave, but once you get back there, you'll notice the pathways changing and glitching and folding on top of themselves, and you'll sometimes even be going around in circles even though you're going straight. This level is almost fully unexplored because of how many passages and caverns it has, and there's no way to say for sure how big it is. However, some of it has been mapped out, but this could be just a small chunk. Who knows? But what is known is that it gets pitch black in the caverns of this level, and some spots are literally so dark that the flashlights you have don't even help. Like, they don't even light anything at all up. These pitch black areas are the most enigmatic and weird parts of the level. Radio waves and GPS stuff only partially work here, but if you do use a GPS to see your location, it will actually say that you're in Slovenia, which is weird because why would a backrooms level say that I'm in Europe? Strange. Compasses aren't even useful here either because the needle never points the right way, so you never truly know what direction you're going in. Pretty much nothing works as it should here, which is one of the reasons it's truly dangerous. Now, level 990 is actually really cold, and sometimes there's a fog that will roll through the tunnels and caverns. The ambient noise of the level is a relaxing water trickle with a slight echo, but sometimes that peaceful, relaxing background can be interrupted by really strange disturbances. These disturbances are audio hallucinations and an entity that I'll talk about later, but these audio hallucinations are thought to come from entities deep inside the level. A weird thing that's been seen far into the caves are a few random windows. These windows are dusty and old looking, and they're actually in the side of the rock walls of the cave, like they're shoved into them. But you can see through them, and it looks like there's hills and flowers and a sunset behind the windows. These are not full-grown window entities that we know of because they don't try to eat you. It literally just looks like there's the world, the earth, on the other side of this glass window. No matter how much the glass is broken on one of these things, the image of the hills and flowers never changes. Which means it's gotta be some kind of entity, right? I mean, speaking of entities, there are a few confirmed ones, like facelings, that have been seen wearing old explorer uniforms and hats with flashlights. There's also been a few death moths that have been seen in the huge caverns. But the level exclusive entity is called a Ravager Ape. Now these things are found deep into the caverns and caves of this level, and they need to be avoided at all cost. I repeat, they need to be avoided. So a Ravager Ape is kind of like a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot from real life, just way more aggressive. These apes hunt humans, and they're very dangerous because they can seemingly no-clip through walls and floors anytime they want to. So one could literally be in a passageway over to the left of you, sense you, and then jump through the wall to get you. Cool. The good news is, since they're pretty big, they can't get into small parts of the cave, so you could probably just run into a tiny hole and escape them. There are currently no colonies in this level, except there was one that tried to build one, but different events like falling into liquid pain or falling into a deep cavern and never being seen again made the group lose too many members, so now there's no one. To enter this level, you can find a hole to jump in level 100 to be sent here, or you can no-clip into a red substance found on level 15 to be sent here. Most of the entrances listed involve nature or the woods in some kind of way, which I find pretty interesting. And to exit the level, you have to find a ladder on a mine shaft in this level and start climbing up it to presumably be sent back to the level you came from. But no one knows for sure because the people just disappear when they're climbing the ladder. So yeah, a huge cave system with random caverns, drop-offs, flooded corridors, and a home to giant apes who hunt humans for food. Sounds great to me.
Like a relentless weed, moderate to severe ulcerative colitis symptoms can keep coming back. Start to break away from UC with Tremfya, with rapid relief at 4 weeks. Tremfya blocks a key source of inflammation. At 1 year, many people experienced remission, and some saw 100% visible healing of their intestinal lining. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today.
Welcome to Maison Perrier. Open the doors to a new level of sparkling taste with our signature bold bubbles. Maison Perrier. Feel elevated.
So this level is classified as a class variable, of course, because of all the varying levels of safety and hazards that can happen. The entire level looks like a house, but it's not just a regular house, it's a massive, expansive house. The level seems to be different in layout and in difficulty for everybody that comes here, but it can all randomly change, so there's no use in trying to make it an exact level classification. It can be safe 1 second, and then dangerous the next. There still is a basic outline for how the level is made up though, and it's got a few certain rooms, and those rooms are actually living rooms, bathrooms, hallways, kitchens, bedrooms, and there could even be a rogue outdoor outside area. But those are the different types of spaces that we'll talk about in this video, and you can randomly get sent to any of them by just being here and walking around. Sometimes it's a random teleportation, sometimes you'll open a door and there'll be a different place there. It's so random that you can never tell. But now I'm going to get into the explanation of the different rooms. So the living rooms of this level tend to be on the empty side. It seems like each of them will have a TV, a few couches, and maybe a rocking chair or two. You know, just the normal stuff. The living rooms are also hotspots for entities on this level, which is kind of bad because there's only 2 rooms that are hotspots, and living rooms are one of them. Entities like skin stealers thrive here, as well as some other unknown shadowy figures. These rooms connect to other rooms through hallways, but these hallways can shift and move randomly, so there's no guarantee you'll ever go back to the same room you were in. Pretty much, you just gotta throw all knowledge and all physics that you know and all science that you know to the wind because none of it is gonna apply here. After the living rooms, there are the bedrooms, which are easily, and I mean easily, the strangest parts of this level. So for all of them, they have a weird 80s, 90s liminal space vibe, and they all seem to have perfectly white furniture in them, like desks and chairs and bookshelves and bed frames, that type of thing. All of it's white. And in every bedroom, there is a TV somewhere that's playing nothing but white static. Like, that's all it can play, just white static. Every account of this level's bedrooms has all those things, the white furniture and the TV playing white static, but at the same time, all the decorations besides those things look different. There are always doors in these bedrooms too, but if you open up one of those doors and walk out, it'll turn you around and you'll just walk back into the same room again. Each time you do that though, some weird stuff might happen. Like if there was a pin on the desk, then it might be gone when you walk back in the room. Or if there was a book on the floor, it might be put on a shelf when you walk back into the room. Just weird stuff like that. These bedrooms are also full of strange paranoia feelings. So it always will feel like something's watching you or waiting for you to come into sight. Some people theorize that there's an entity that hides under the beds or in a closet or in the shadows, but who knows. The kitchens are the next part of the level, and they're also very strange. They're usually made out of all wooden materials, so the cabinets and tables and all that stuff will be old looking wood. And these areas are also decorated in a pre-2000s vibe. The kitchens are all really hot, and you'll start sweating just by getting here. And they're hot because all the ovens and microwaves are on full blast constantly, and you can't change it or take it off or anything. The doors that would normally lead to a different room or a pantry or another just area in the house in these kitchens will just lead to the exact copy of that same kitchen that you're in. So you'll be in a place that looks like this, and then you open the door, walk to the next place, and it'll be the exact same place again. Great. The lights in the ceilings are also very dangerous because they can get so hot that they could literally roast you alive. Literally. There's also a strange entity that hides in these kitchens that hunts down the prey that gets weakened from the heat. So be ready for that. The level also has bathrooms. Of course it does. In the bathrooms, there is a constant sound of water dripping, almost like there's a pipe that's broken or something. The water in the toilets and in the sinks and everywhere is freezing cold. It's literally so cold that it feels like it has ice in it, but it doesn't. And this area is the second and last hotspot for entities. The first hotspot was the living room, and this one is the second one, and it's very strange because the entities here are very different from normal entities. There are regular ones like hounds and clumps, but there are a few weird cases of people seeing things underneath a stall door or seeing heads pop under a stall door as well. Sometimes people will open one of those doors and they'll get taken in by the entity behind it, or dragged out from under it by an entity on the other side. That's all we know about the bathrooms though, but it's enough for me to know that I would never go there. The hallways of this level are also an area, I guess, but they're just a bunch of intertwining, looping, non-Euclidean hallways that seemingly lead to infinite parts of the level. Now the hallways themselves are kind of like hotel ones, I guess you could say, but all the lights are strange colors, like yellow and red and green, that kind of thing. There are also doors that lead to more hallways, and more hallways that lead to doors. And all of it just gets really confusing really fast. The last discovered area is the outdoor area that I hinted at earlier, and this part is very rare to get to, and it always seems to happen accidentally. Like, no one ever purposely goes here, they just get sent here. But it looks like a dark road with these weird looking trees completely surrounding it. And this is also a hotspot for entities apparently, and they seem to just roam the roads looking for something to eat. And things like smilers are common here. There is one last place that just got discovered, and it's kind of like a basement area, but there is no information on it, and this is the only picture we have for it, and it just looks like an unfinished basement. Let me know in the comments what you think the basement might do. There's no info on it, but I want to hear your theories. To enter this level, you have to come from the previous one, level 611.3, and to exit, you can open a door in one of the hallways that glows red, or you can make it to the outdoor area and no-clip through the road. Good luck. You're gonna need it. Level negative 439 of the Backrooms, aka Schrodinger's Closet, has been given a classification of undetermined due to the many mysterious properties that surround it, as well as unknown information that has not been documented about entities that lurk inside this level. So obviously the level's name, Schrodinger's Closet, is a reference to the psychological scenario of Schrodinger's cat. Now, if you've never heard about that or anything, I'm going to go ahead and summarize it right here really fast before I hop in the explanation of the level. In this psychological scenario, there is a box.